to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. All things hockey, all the time. And now, here are your hosts, two washed-up beer leaguers who have no idea what they're talking about, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
What's going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. I'm Alex. That's Zach. Zach, how are you, sir, with your terrible mic today?
I am not. I'm not having a good time right now. Basically, my Wi-Fi gave up about an hour and a half ago, so now I'm doing this on my phone with my Raycons. You know, no free sponsors, but hey, if you want to sponsor us, I'm not going to be upset about it. But other than that, no, doing pretty good. You know, watched the Hurricanes today. Also, not having a good time watching that and fighting a cold. So, you know what? It's just a grand old day where I'm at right now. It's
That's
just
awesome,
mentally.
man.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm down and mentally. Woof. Let me tell
I'm
you.
glad your Wi-Fi just decided to give up like the Leafs did. So, you know.
Oof. I mean,
Speaking of the Leafs.
oof.
Zach.
I mean, hey. I mean, well, actually, if you know what, I'm going to do a self-inflicted wound on my team. It could be the Blackhawks from March until about April when we were in the playoffs and then decided to not play defense. But we'll get to that later on in the show. But, yeah.
Well, speaking of the
Ooh.
Leafs, Zach, why don't you go ahead and introduce our wonderful guest today?
Yes, we have not only one, but two guests with us today. They're from Center Ice. I'm really excited to have these ladies on. I've been talking to mostly one of them for a good long while. The other one a little bit here and there, but, you know, really awesome to finally have them on and actually talk for longer than 180 characters on Twitter. But welcome to the podcast, Courtney and Jacqueline. How are you ladies doing tonight?
Pretty good. Can't really complain, you know. It was rough seeing the Hurricanes lose, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was great when they were up like 4-2. And then
And what happened?
basically no one stayed disciplined, and you don't get Tampa Bay 3 power play goals in the second period. So
You really
that was a little rough.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, Tampa with their $115 million salary cap right now. Just
You know,
It must be. Yeah, it must be really nice not to still somehow make it to the playoffs, and then you get Kucherov back at the right time. You're just like, oh, okay, so you basically guys had a really good season, and then you get Kucherov back at the right moment. It's like,
like
Well,
with
healthy
that
too,
whole
like, okay.
situation, like with that whole situation, what I don't know what pisses me off more is the fact that it happened and it's still happening and they're still really good, or the fact that it's not against any rules.
Right.
That's I mean, that's the way it is. That
Yeah.
it was designed for stuff like that, to where there's really no salary cap penalties for the playoffs. But now everyone's pissed off about it because it's like, wow, well, your salary cap's $20 million over the ceiling. That's a little ridiculous. And then
Yeah.
Tampa's like, okay, well, I don't care. We're going to win a cup again.
Right.
At least I could see him going to the finals.
I mean, it would be nice, though, if it's like, if you have a guy who's missed the entire regular season, maybe they should make him ineligible for the playoffs, because I kind of find it a little ridiculous that the fact that this guy was out the whole time and now he's come back fully healthy. Like, yeah, you could be rusty from not playing all season, but you're still fresh. Compared to everyone else who's played like 56 games in the span of like, and you're playing like a game every other day. Like, come on. Really?
Yeah, people always point to 2015 and the Blackhawks when Patrick Kane broke his collarbone. So then they were able to go out and get Antoine Vermette. But that was in like February, January that he broke it. So he played a good half of the season before that.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say that makes more sense to me because it was my team. But
Yeah, if it's for our team, it's all right. But if it's another team, I think was it February? I thought it was I thought it was like maybe like a month left in the season. I thought it was pretty late because
it was before the trade deadline. That's all I know, because they had the cap space to go out and get Vermette. But that seems to be less cheating than a guy just not playing the entire regular season. And they knew that he wasn't going to play the regular season and he would be back for playoffs. That's just
that's where I think you have to be very specific. Like if you started the season and get hurt, then that's fine. But if you miss the entire season, you got to have a way to be like, yeah, you really can't play in the playoffs, or you have to stay under cap and move guys, or you have to do something, because just to get Kucherov back with like no repercussions, and you're like, all right, well, they still got Braden Point, they still got Sorelli, they still got Stamkos, they got Hedman. It's like, all right, sure, let's just add a loaded team with their best player on the team. That's
freaking.
It was just
and Stamkos came back. I mean, he played some of the regular season, but then he was injured and came back for the playoffs as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right for the guy who, when they won the cup last year, and he wasn't even very much involved in it. And it's like, oh, okay.
One shift, he scored a goal, and then that was his playoff.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, cool, I guess.
I mean, I still don't think that he can captain a team to a cup, but
Kucherov maybe.
Yeah.
No.
No?
Dude, Victor Hedman.
Also,
I'll go to Victor Hedman.
I think, my opinion, Kucherov is good. So Kuch is good. Don't get me wrong, but I think he is. I think he's on the short-tempered side of that Russian bloodline, because there's guys that look what he did with the Blue Jackets in the playoffs in 2019. They lose game 1, so then game 2 he goes and knees Marcus Nudavara in the head while he's boarding him.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah,
and then he gets suspended a game.
Like it was one game.
Yeah, it was just one game, because then Victor Hedman was hurt the first 3 games, and both he and Kucherov came back in game 4, and then we still beat him.
What happened?
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing ever, honestly.
It's being a Blue Jackets fan, that's my Stanley Cup right now.
Right.
They've been so bad the last 20 years, and the fact that we win our first playoff series against the President's Cup winning team, and then we swept them when literally not a single person on the planet was giving us a chance to win a game, let alone the series.
And
I was all for it.
Could you imagine if we had this podcast right when that happened? Oh my word! I would have had to stop the podcast for about a couple of days, just because of the fact you would be like, this team is just going to win the Stanley Cup. We're going to do everything and just burn it to the ground. You just sit there and watch the world burn, basically.
Dude,
that's like,
I didn't have a voice for like a month and a half. So obviously, game 1, my wife and I went downtown and we're at a watch party. It's a place called Pins Mechanical. It's like miniature bowling, and everybody there was tanked.
Miniature bowling.
It's actually really cool. Like it's like bowling and skee ball. So like all the pins are probably, I'd say maybe 6-7 inches tall, and they're all on like metal wires. So you can sit there and bowl and knock them over, and then you just reset it. And we were watching, the first period was a disaster. 3-0, we go down, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm getting super drunk. I don't want to remember any of this. And then Nick Foligno comes back and scores in the second period. I'm like, all right, well, we're still going to lose, whatever. And then the third period happens. It's second goal with David Savard. He goes through and makes Victor Hedman look like an idiot. And then they go back. Josh Sanderson goes to tie it up. And then when Seth Jones scored that fourth goal, we were all going absolutely bananas. And then we went back for game 2. And then I was in the upper bowl, like right on the glass for game 3. And then I was actually in my company suite for game 4. And that was dumb. That was the loudest I've ever heard any place. It was insane. But
that was at Nationwide?
Yeah, so game 3 and 4 were at Nationwide. And that's
the quietest arena in the league.
We're gonna disagree to disagree.
Hey, it's not Florida and it's not Detroit. I mean, give CBJ a little bit of credit.
Those arenas are loud.
It's not even the fans in Columbus. There's just some. I don't know if it's the way it's built or the acoustics in there, but it is the quietest arena I have ever been in.
When's the last time you were there?
2019, yeah, because we didn't go last
February
year because of COVID. We went for 4 straight seasons.
4 straight, yep. And the Jackets won all 4 at the times that we went.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
were they playing against the Hawks in one of those games, or was it just whoever?
We don't travel to see the Hawks play.
Because if we travel to see the Hawks play, they will lose, and I will be in a terrible mood for the rest of the trip, and nobody wants that.
Oh, so basically, it's just we're never going to any road games because no one wants to do it. Yeah, actually, that kind of makes sense. I'd be the same way. I'm like, I drove 5 hours to watch them lose. What was I even thinking?
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
So we just go to see other teams we would be interested in watching, and it works out a lot better.
Yeah. I think it was like 2019. I took my wife and I went to, what was it? Yeah, so we went to Pittsburgh for a Blue Jackets and Penguins game, and it was on her birthday. And the Blue Jackets got obliterated. They got shut out. They looked terrible. I mean, we were like 2 rows behind the Blue Jackets bench, so we heard Torts yelling at the guys the whole game, which was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine the crap he talked the entire time.
Yeah, it was awesome, but they got destroyed. But it was actually really cool because Cam Atkinson, one of my wife's favorite player, he got a puck, threw it up to her.
Oh, nice.
And then we were like right on the thing where we got to fist bump everybody coming in and out. And I was actually talking to Matt Duchene for a few minutes, which was really cool. Like, I think it was after the second period. Mm-hmm. So I was asking him about his pregame ritual that he has that has not changed no matter where he's at, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's,
maybe that's he hasn't won shit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
not wrong. Yeah. And he was 37 feet offside.
Yeah, I would say, he pretty much ruined the offsides rule for everyone. So thanks, Matt.
Yeah, right.
And now he has to be in that ugly yellow jersey down there in the city that, frankly, I'm tired of facing half the time because they have the most annoying fans possible. And they raise on that.
3 paragraphs long.
It's rough. It's like, how do you remember this?
Well, they're not even cool. They're just so boring. Like, you suck. Like, ooh, like, where have I heard that before?
You're this thing with their claws, and they go,
yeah,
it's all your fault.
It's very weird,
and it's terrifying to be there as a person who's never seen that happen before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh god, what are we surrounded by?
Yeah, well, of course, they think they're original with throwing catfish on the ice, like Detroit hasn't done with octopus.
Right, yeah.
And they're Western Conference regular season champions, so we got to raise a banner for that, which is the most stupidest thing I'm still ever going to give them crap for. Because, like, what made you think that was a good idea? Like, why?
But it made everything so memeable, like how Carolina just destroyed them on Twitter after.
The team after my own heart. That was just
on Twitter. And what made it even better is the fact that the Predators blocked the Hurricanes right afterwards. That made it even better.
Well, and they try to backtrack it like, oh, that's bad Photoshop. It's like, come on. Really? Come on. Just own up to the fact that you've got your feelings. It's okay.
Be like, yeah, we blocked you.
Ooh, you got us. Yeah, no, but
that was so funny though. Oh my god.
Oh, that was absolutely fantastic. So you guys go check out other teams. I know you guys are big season ticket holders for the Rockford IceHogs. How happy are you that the Blackhawks basically own the IceHogs and the fact that they're going to be in Rockford for the next like 30 years?
16 years?
15?
15, 16, or something like that?
We're going to be season ticket holders until we're like 43.
At least. But when I tell you that I started bawling when I read that news, I mean it. I was like ugly crying into my pillow because I woke up to the news.
I love, because I've been to Rockford a few times. I actually haven't had a chance to stop and watch the IceHogs live, but just being able to know that we actually have our team that close for that long, it's just going to be fantastic. In fact, like, there's not a lot of teams that can say that they have their minor league AHL team like that close to them.
Road, yeah.
It's like what, 80 miles?
Something like that. Yeah, but like
something like that.
Yeah, the Checkers
Hurricanes
did have
that with the Checkers, and then
now
we're gonna go to Chicago.
What the hell happened there? Like,
because I think because the Checkers are with the Panthers now, and I forget who Carolina's got. I think that's Chicago Wolves, and it's like
the Wolves, yeah.
It's just so weird that the fact we have a team in Rockford, and we have the Chicago Wolves, and then we have the Chicago Steel in the USHL. It's like we just have so many teams like right there, like in that general vicinity.
That's what you get with a big city, man.
Well,
I
gotta
I
suppose.
mean, yeah.
Columbus, we
especially
have
having-
the Blue Jackets, the Crew, the Clippers, and a couple Walmarts.
Walmart. Oh,
Hey, and you got a bunch of Wendy's. So
Yeah. And Ohio State, but I hate Ohio State. So, you know,
yeah.
I can't stand them. But
Mhm.
so stepping outside of the NHL for a second, I see the beautiful Change Hockey Culture shirt.
Mhm.
So along those lines, the OHL made history today with the Sarnia Sting being the first team to draft a female into the Ontario Hockey League priority selection.
Yes.
It was
I woke
Taya
up to that
Curry, a
news, too.
16-year-old goaltender from Ontario.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like-
That's pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Like from the fact that they're talking about how good she is, and how she's probably the highest scouted goalie coming into the OHL. Like that's really huge. Like, for the fact that Sarnia is like, all right, we're gonna pick her. Like that's just fantastic. You'd love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I think what surprised me most is that leading up to the draft, I didn't hear anything about it,
Mhm.
like that she was an option to be selected. And then I just got the news today that she was drafted. I was like, oh, that's really freaking cool.
Yeah,
it's-
that's the problem. I think with when you have some of these other drafts and like the OHL priority selection, they don't really announce it. Like
Yeah.
I saw some of the stuff because some of the guys I follow on Twitter are really big with the OHL
Okay.
and they follow the draft, but the NHL is not posting anything about it. Any teams aren't posting anything about it. I mean, good Lord, she's from Ontario in the Ontario Hockey League. Good God, you should have some of these Canadian teams tweeting about it at minimum.
Right?
You would think.
Yeah,
Or
at least,
Sportsnet or TSN or something. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the 67s, they were posting all their picks and stuff. Like, I mean, some teams were doing their picks, but you would think like this would be kind of a big deal because it's a selection. If you're getting drafted to go into the league, like especially up there in the CHL, whatever CHL it is, league, you would think it'd be a massive deal, especially for her too. Like, you're the first girl ever selected in the OHL, and it's like it's only the OHL that's posting about it, or you're hearing like big names around the sport in media talking about it.
Right.
We have the NHL going, what? We have playoffs. We don't know what's going on. It's
This
like,
is
Yeah.
so
what?
shocking to me that we didn't hear anything about it until she was drafted. It's very, very odd.
It's odd. Yeah.
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 It's one of those things it should have been talked about before, but
Mhm.
now that it's out there and it's awesome. Like Sportsnet has a story about it, but that's it. Well, and never mind. There's my first NHL player that I've seen make a comment about it. And who else than Nick Foligno?
Really?
hey, you gotta love Nick Foligno, man.
Saying
That's-
that name like it's not supposed to bring me pain.
Oh yeah.
What, Nick? He was with you guys for like an hour.
Everything comes back to the Leafs, and everything Leafs is pain.
It's true.
He comes back to the Jackets. He was our captain. Well,
Yeah.
you guys lost your captain for a little bit,
we
Don't
We-
know
which
what's going
he
on.
is doing better, I think,
he's just
from what
out
I've seen.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
I hope Dantes is all right because that was a big hole that I wish he had for a good part of the season.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Oh man, that was rough.
It
I mean,
is, but
hopefully,
when you think about it, the way that they were playing without their top two centers was pretty impressive.
Like,
I was
well,
very, very impressed
Oh, yeah.
by. So you see that, and you lose Jonathan Toews, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Good God, these guys are going to be terrible." Blue Jackets aside, they took everybody by surprise because Patrick Kane helped lead the team. Pius Suter came out of nowhere.
Until
DeBrincat took a huge step up this year.
oh yeah, his swagger's back. Like the cat's back. I mean, Peister did well. Kubalik did well. Khrushchev showed up at certain points too. I mean, all of our young guys.
oh,
The Hagel, the Bagel Hagel. Yeah, just
And then some
Really?
mediocre young guy in net. I don't know. He was okay.
Don't talk about
Oh,
my
oh, okay. Don't you dare disrespect Blanks. Lance is our future goalie. He's the franchise goalie for the next like 20 years.
I
You're talking
absolutely
about
agree.
Subban, though.
Oh, good God, Zach! You know I'm being a smartass.
I will.
You know, never.
Dude,
No.
Malcolm
Never.
Subban couldn't catch a freaking cold in China right now. And
You know
then
what?
Colin Delia is like, no.
Hey, Colin Delia is good. It's
Colin,
just
watch it.
He's watching. Don't say anything.
Hi.
hey, I like Colin. I think for me and Courtney and Jacqueline, I think you girls might agree with me on this. That whole stretch of March and March and April, like the Hawks are struggling. Goaltending's kind of been hurting a little bit, and the defense just absolutely disappeared on them. Why didn't they bring up Colin Delia sooner or make him play more in that stretch? Because we're struggling. Like they're still within the shot of making the playoffs. I'm kind of curious of why the last week of the season already eliminated. They're like, you know what? We're gonna throw Colin Delia out for a couple games, and you're just like,
And
where
then
was
it's
the
like,
second March?
Like after it matters, or after it stopped mattering.
because
Yeah,
as-
like what are your latest thoughts on that? Like, why wait until we're already out to play it? Like,
I mean,
why?
we always say that we cannot stand the 3 goalie system.
Oh, it's the worst because somebody always ends up getting screwed, no matter what. They never evenly distribute the games because, of course, you're going to go with the hot hand. But there's still that guy that just gets stuck in the back seat, like, "Hey guys, I'm here.
I'm
too.
here.
I'm
Remember
Yeah.
me?
It's that third wheel on the date that just doesn't want to be there. It's like you should just left me at home. Like I don't want to be here.
Yeah, and he got those 2 games at the beginning of the season, and none of the goaltenders played well to start the year, and they were giving up 5 goals a game, no matter who was in net.
Oh,
And then
that was
Kevin comes in and he plays fantastic, so you're gonna run with him as the starter. And then they just decided that Subban was the backup, and for a while he was playing very well. So it made sense to keep riding the 2 of those, but as you said, throughout March and that gauntlet of a schedule they had when it was just Tampa, Florida, Carolina,
It was the worst.
just
that was not a good time.
yes, I'm so sick of Florida. But then neither of those 2 were playing well. So again, it comes back to
not
why
just toss him out there? See, like it's not going to be any worse than it already is.
right, what do you have to lose at that point? Because you're already
Exactly.
losing every game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you might as well see what you have in this guy when the games matter, because they were still in the hunt for that playoff spot. And I mean, thank God they didn't get it, because that's a level of stress I don't need in my life to watch.
Man,
them.
yeah.
You know how bad they would have been in this year's playoffs?
Well, we probably faced Carolina, and we already
They
know how
would've
that
been like
went.
Carolina, yeah.
They would have gotten absolutely slaughtered.
But out of the playoff teams in the Central, they played Carolina the best.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that actually would probably been a good first round matchup. It would probably been close, but now let's say like Florida or Tampa got the 1 seed. I'd be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. I don't want to watch because I know how this is gonna go, and I'm not here for it. But yeah, it makes no sense. Why not play Colin at all? It's just the whole thought process of how they dealt with goalies all year. It's just made no sense whatsoever.
I think that they still just want to try to justify the Robin Leonard trade, honestly.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to make Subban work.
But why the contract extension still makes no sense? I've said this to Alex on multiple episodes. That contract extension for Subban makes no sense. I don't know why you made it 2 years. I don't even know why you gave him an extension. You played him for 5 minutes because
To be fair,
Corey got hurt.
it is a 2-year deal. You could have been stupid like Florida and been dropping $70 million on Bobrovsky. Thank you, Florida and Bill Zito, for taking that hit away from Columbus. That I'm okay with. But
yeah,
free agent this year, and they have Spencer Knight that's playing better than Bob. So they're gonna lose their best backup goaltender because they have to keep Bobrovsky. Nobody's gonna take that contract.
No.
Yeah.
They're not.
You're gonna have a backup goaltender making $10 million a year while your starting goaltender is on his ELC.
like what blows my mind is the Florida mindset behind that. Okay, you signed Luongo to like a 39-year deal, and you have this, and you're like, oh, this contract is terrible. we're never going to do this
Well,
again.
you can thank Vancouver for that one.
The year later, what happens?
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to sign this guy to a massive contract.
A few weeks after they drafted Spencer Knight.
Like, why?
Has anyone not learned the Rick DiPietro fiasco that happened with the Islanders? The fact that they're still paying him, and let's not even talk about Bobby Vanilla in baseball. They're still paying that contract from them to like 20, 30 something. So it's like, can we like,
Dude,
like
the Bobby Bonilla contract is an absolute shit show in every way, shape, and form.
I mean,
I think
the
it-
Hawks just recently finally got Cristobal Huey off of theirs. So
oh my
It's-
gosh, I forgot about that.
It's insane.
Courtney, thank
Like,
you for reminding me of that. I completely forgot. We
you're
still.
welcome.
Oh, wow. I've not thought about that in about 3, 5, whatever long that's been since we last had him. She's I completely forgot about that. Thanks for that dark memory. I try to keep in the back of my mind. I
He's really good at digging those up.
stay back there.
but that's
It's that
yeah.
memory I want to keep back in my brain. I don't even think about this. Oh my goodness.
like that whole thing in Florida, though. That's why I've been calling it for a while. I think Chris Driedger is going to be the starting goaltender for the Kraken because Bobrovsky is already going to be protected. He has a no move clause or no trade clause. So
Unfortunately.
who are you
Nobody's
going to pick?
gonna
Who
take
you-
that contract
Nobody-
anyway.
yeah.
No. Like, well, I've seen a lot of stuff that people are trying to justify. Well, if Florida does this and they could find a way to buy him out. And I'm like,
We always say that things just aren't going to happen, but we say those things forgetting that NHL GMs are the dumbest people on the planet.
yeah. It's insane.
You
But,
want
like,
to get
but literally, like, you look at that. Who would you if you were a GM and you had to protect somebody? Who are you going to protect? Driedger or Spencer Knight? Spencer Knight all day.
I mean,
All day.
Chris is also a free agent, so you'd have to extend him to
Mhm.
protect him.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but then you're basically keeping 3. If we're going back to a normal season with AHL and all that stuff, then you guys send Spencer Knight back down to the AHL because now you've got 2 goalies that you're paying a combined
Yeah.
15 million at the minimum, and that's
Oh.
being nice. You're talking almost like 20 million between 2 goalies.
I forgot he's an unrestricted free agent. So technically, all 3 they don't actually need to protect any of them. I forgot about that. If you're on an expiring contract that's going to be an unrestricted free agent, you're protected. You're on your entry level contract, you're protected.
What about Montembeault? Is he on a ELC or can he be?
He is not. He's going to be an RFA, but
he is?
he isn't. He's not on his ELC. So they would
I-
protect him, I
Perfect.
guess.
They just don't have a goaltender to.
They're going to
They
have
have
to
to
be
find
like
somebody.
the Blue Jackets are going to have to get rid of one of their goalies.
Which
The-
one do you
the-
think they get rid of?
See, this is a touchy subject for me. Who do I want to be traded? Corpusalo.
Elvis or Corpy? Really?
I love Elvis. Elvis has such a high ceiling. And the thing is,
His personality's so great too, though.
well, the man is amazing.
Can we
Like
talk
from a
about the
personality standpoint.
saddest thing in the world
Oh
when he
my
was
God.
hugging himself after Foligno left?
Oh,
Yeah.
that
That
was
was hard to watch, honestly.
that was rough.
And it's
I felt so bad.
My team's losing. That's the
That's-
most heartbroken I've been over hockey
I
watching.
almost
that.
cried watching
Me
him do it for
too.
the first time. I'm like,
yeah. It's one of those things like that is why I want him to stay.
Mhm.
But last year, what was it? 2019, December 28th, so it was my birthday. The Blackhawks were in Columbus and you guys won in a shootout. That's where, what was it? I think Taze came up and shot and scored on Corpusalo, and
Oh,
Corpy
yeah,
got
he
hurt that game.
absolutely broke his groin.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
Elvis
yeah,
came
that was
in
a
for
good-
one shot and got just
obliterated.
made
Wasn't
fun
that-
of by Patrick Kane.
Wasn't
Well,
that
I mean-
the game where Columbus technically scored in overtime?
Yes.
It was after.
So Werenski
Yeah.
scored at the end of either regulation or overtime.
it was overtime.
And it was
pissed.
Mad, man.
Yeah.
that's just because
Big
earlier,
man.
like I think 20 seconds earlier, the clock ran off like a second and a half,
Mhm.
and nobody did anything to fix the clock.
Yeah.
Well, Werenski scored, but it was technically like half of a millisecond past
Uh-huh.
it expiring. Well, if they would have fixed the clock, he would have scored and we would have won. Therefore, we wouldn't have lost our goalie.
Yeah.
But it's
Either.
yeah. But at the same time, Corpy goes out. Elvis is the number one guy now, and then he goes on an absolute freaking tear.
That was a stupid run that he went on. I mean,
Like,
who knows where we'd be at right now if Elvis doesn't get that chance and then just goes on that absolute stupid year that he had.
dude, honestly, if the referees fix the clock, I don't think Elvis would be with us anymore.
Ooh,
No?
that's a big
No.
move.
Because at the beginning of that season, he got blasted. Game 1, 7-2 by the Penguins.
We were
And
in
he
that
just-
game.
We
He was
did
terrible.
that game.
And he was not good.
It was,
And
It was his
It's-
first game, wasn't it? His
Yeah.
first
yeah, it
NHL
was his
game?
first game. So it's kind of one of those things like,
Yeah, give him give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
Pittsburgh has the thing where after they win, they say like Elvis has left the building because Elvis, but like it actually applied that time. So Courtney and I were really mad because we didn't know that was a thing that they already did.
Mhm.
mhm.
We were like, don't make fun of Elvis like that.
Nice.
yeah.
But it's like with Elvis in that season and then this past season, Corpy got hurt both times. And then as soon as Elvis becomes the number one guy and he's not sharing the net, his game elevates like tenfold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy has said in press conferences, especially at his exit interviews, I don't do this sharing the net thing. He's like, I am a
Oh.
starting goalie. I don't like it. Now he has to because he's getting paid. It's his job. But that's he's
That's I think that's a certain goalie in Chicago who's basically said the same thing. Like, this is my net, and I'm not losing it.
well, the biggest issue why that kept going back and forth was Torts. That's gone. So now I'm curious to see what's going to happen depending on what coach comes in. Because
Oh, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I was going to say that with the three biggest names right now, it's what David Quinn, Gerard Gallant, and Rick Tocchet. All three of those play hot hand on goalies. So they don't do this rotation nonsense of, oh, well, hey, I know you just had a 45 save shutout. And we have 3 days off, but yeah, I'm going to let the other guy play. No, don't do that.
Your fun fact.
I know. I was just gonna say that Corpy was the first goalie that I ever fell in love with
That's right.
because I went. He was my first NHL game that I ever went to. It was
Mhm.
in Columbus
Against Ottawa.
against Ottawa.
And that's the bad
He
part.
got
I
nailed
love
on
Corpy.
Oh, it
Like-
looked so bad.
Corpy is such a nice guy, and he's Columbus loves him, and they love Elvis too, which is why. I mean, they can't keep them both. They're both going to have expiring contracts after next year. So it's like you have to get rid of one so you can sign the other. You can't sign both of them to $7 million contracts.
I mean, hey, you can go the Boston Bruins route and just sign everyone to really cheap deals because they're all bodies of the system.
Mhm.
But not everyone's. I don't know how Boston does it. They must have something on these guys' families to have everyone on ridiculously good contracts.
I have no
Like-
idea. Everybody just decides they want to play for the Bruins, even though they haven't won since 2011. I mean, they're always in the playoffs and they're always good, but
Yeah. It's just the contracts. Like how do you get all these guys on such good contracts? Like Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. Like,
Some of that stuff, honestly, so it actually relates. There was an article I read on The Athletic. It was about the Blue Jackets. One of the guys interviewed old Blue Jackets players, asking them, and it was all anonymous too, like, what was wrong with Columbus? Why did you want to leave? Things like that. And all of them said, the team is awesome. But the organization doesn't promote their players like they need to.
yeah.
In a small market like this,
Yeah.
you should have them everywhere. For example, Pasta has got a freaking Dunkin' Donuts deal and all this other stuff. The amount of money they make from endorsements because they're in Boston,
Yeah.
and Boston, as much as everyone hates it, I'm a Patriots fan, so I understand it. But
Wow.
it's one of those things that Boston is one of those markets that their fans rally behind their teams, no matter who it is,
Right.
and they understand how to do it. So yeah, it could be like hey, I know you want an $8 million deal, but we're going to give you a 5, but we're also going to have you have this exclusive contract with this company that's
Mhm.
going to bring you in an extra $2 million a year.
Right.
And they'll be like, okay.
You'd think they'd be able to do something with Ohio State since it's such a big deal there.
Yeah,
The thing with Ohio State is Ohio State doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone other than themselves. Like Columbus Crew, they could care less about them. Jackets, yeah, they'll make a post about them just because Nick Flynn wore a Buckeyes helmet one time, and that's about it. Other than that, it's like I don't think Ohio State really cares.
Well,
About
like
anyone
they've
else in
tried to
Columbus.
do multiple stadium series games
Mhm.
with it would be the Blue Jackets and probably like the Red Wings or somebody playing in the shoe.
It'd probably be
And
Chicago.
It's
Since we get
I mean,
the
hey,
fucking
I
Alabama.
wouldn't care who it was at that point. But
one of our honestly, I'm kind of over us being in the Winter Classic because it just never.
I'm so sick of it.
I'm tired. I'm tired of watching us just lose on national TV, and especially the last one against the Blues. I'm like, you know what? Don't
it
put us
must
in
be
any more of
nice
those.
to get tired of being in Winter Classics.
You have no idea.
You know, it's a
dude.
hard life over here.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
We have it
it's
hard.
right. Yeah, I mean, from 2010 to about 2015, I mean, it was a rough life. Let me tell
I
you.
don't know how we did it, honestly.
See, and I became a fan like
For the 15-16
for the 15
season.
16 season. So I've never been in a good spot.
You're like me with the Leafs. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
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 Why
You
do
didn't
you do
have to
this?
choose to be a fan of this team.
I feel the same way with the Blue Jackets.
Fair.
Like, wow, this team sucks. Why am I a fan?
I think everybody feels that way about their team, like just unanimously.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
the only
they're the ones that hate their teams the most.
Yeah, I think the only thing for Columbus right now that they have going is, at least from the team perspective, is Patrick Laine, and just the namesake behind it. Yeah, he had a rough season. So did everybody.
If that's the only thing you have going for your
But
team.
yeah, that's the problem.
I mean,
But
Elvis.
outside of it,
what
the
about
biggest
Elvis and
thing-
Bjorkstrand then? Elvis and Bjorkstrand are good.
Well, so if
Oh, I love
if
that pause.
Foligno
It's like-
doesn't return,
I
Well,
love that. Like, well, about that.
you say Bjorkstrand and Elvis, and that just opens about 30 more doors that I want to sit there and talk about. But like, if Nick,
geez. we
especially
don't have 7 hours to do this, Alex.
like if Nick Foligno doesn't return, then I mean, obviously Cam Atkinson has to be the next captain because Seth Jones doesn't want to stay, and then Oliver Bjorkstrand's going to get an A put on because he's the only other one signed through the end of next season or season after. It's just him and Cam Atkinson. It's ridiculous, but
That's gonna be rough.
yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, I was going back to Seth and all that. I was listening to a Blackhawks talk with Meliodas and Pat Boyle. They were talking about would the Blackhawks want to try to make a move for Seth Jones, and according to Jack, I want to get your thoughts on this too. They said, well, what if they give up maybe the 11th overall pick, and maybe you're talking Nicholas Beaudin and an Anna Boquist, like like an NHL player and a high level prospect and a draft pick. I don't know what in terms of who they can give up to do that, but they said, would the Blackhawks make a move for it? And I'm like, for me, and this is what I think was what Charlie said, I think it would have to be a sign and trade. Like, we're not going to give up assets just for a 1-year run with Seth. It has to be a it's like they said, like a backdoor, you signed this contract for however long, we'll trade and try to get you. Like,
no matter who
players-
he gets traded to, no matter who Seth Jones gets traded to, that 100% will be the situation. Nobody is going to take a guy of his caliber for 1 year and give up. But
yeah, it has to be. It has to be a sign and trade.
But what they were saying about the 11th overall and an NHL player and a prospect, sorry to burst your bubble, that is not enough for him. And there's multiple reasons why.
It should
The
be.
11th overall pick, this draft, nothing against any of the players personally, it sucks because we didn't get any of the scouting that we normally would in a regular year. It is just a weak draft compared to the last 3 that we've had. It was the last 8 that we've had. It's just an overall weak draft. And primarily it's all wingers. We don't want wingers. And So that 11th overall pick.
Boquist isn't a winger. Boquist is a defenseman. He's not a winger.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying it from the prospect position in the draft.
Well, I mean, you can't have anybody signed, so by the time that player would be ready to play, you would need wingers.
Yeah. But what do you, Lace think? Like, do you think that? Do you see the Blackhawks maybe doing something like that, or is it kind of like we're gonna pass and maybe go get like maybe a Ducky Hamilton free agency this year, or is this kind of like who knows at this point?
I can see them being in on it just to have their name in it. So like, hey, we're trying to do something, but it doesn't make sense for the Blackhawks. They say, we are rebuilding. We are committed to this rebuild. Oh, let's go out and get this 26-year-old defender who's going to be 27 real quick. And we're going to trade Boquist and Beaudin and the 11th overall pick that we need to do the rebuild. And you have Kane and Taves making all of this money. You have to pay DeBrincat coming up. You have to pay Kirby Doc. You're going to have to pay these other defenders. It makes no sense to bring in this guy who's trending downward in his career just to have the big name acquisition.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely interesting when they were talking about that. I'm like, I don't know that that's possible. I mean, luckily they did get DeBrincat on that, I guess, bridge deal, if you want to call it one. I don't know how you would phrase that, but yeah, it's like, then you got to think about too, Kubalik's going to come up at some point. You know, you're going to have to re-sign Strome again if you want to keep him long term. Then you got everyone else on their entry levels, and Lankinen, his contract's coming up soon too. It's just I don't envy Stan Bowman, but I'm also like, Stan, can you please just do something right for once?
To be honest, it's not going to fly with this organization having a player's mom who goes on Twitter and bullies fans for talking shit about her son. So I don't want Seth Jones. I want nothing about that.
Oh yeah, I forgot that his mom did that.
I don't want the player. I don't want the drama. I don't want the contract. Hard pass on Seth Jones.
Last thing Chicago needs is
drama.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, the drama is not as bad as people as the news make it out to be, because it's like recently what it is he comes out and says that he wants to test free agency, which he has every right to do that. And then, of course, Blue Jackets fans are shit talking him, saying, "Oh, he's worthless. He's an asshole. Blah blah blah." And then they start talking shit to his mom, and his mom is like super strong willed and said, "Okay, fuck you. I don't even care what you have to say." Fine. I mean, I get it, but it's like I get it. I get it on both sides. It's one of those things, but
it's like, not even just because of that. And you're right, the fans. I really hate it when they go online and attack a player's character. It's disgusting.
Well, even the family, like even his family too. Like come on.
While we're on that topic, anyone listening to this, dude, leave freaking Mitch Marner alone. Him and Austin Matthews, for the love of God. He's 23 years old. Like, what were you doing when you were 23? Jesus, that was what, 7 years ago? I have no idea. He's making however many millions of dollars playing hockey. He's a professional athlete.
Attacking.
Like he's 23. He's gonna make mistakes. Right. Good God, everybody does. Just leave him the fuck alone. Like, who cares?
Don't attack the person, but
you can be pissed off at the team and the organization. Don't sit there and start getting personal with a kid.
The criticisms about his game are very valid when it comes to the playoffs, but when people start tagging him and going on his social media and being like, "You suck,"
does that feel better to do that? I don't understand why people do that.
I don't think it does. It's just immature. It's just
even back to the Ethan Bear situation too. Like, everyone's attacking Ethan Bear and all this stuff, and then talk about like where because he's part of One Nation and stuff like that. It's like, come on, can we change, like your shirt says, change hockey culture? Can we please stop with this nonsense of just attacking players and attacking their families? I love hockey, but there's a fine line between criticizing his play as a player and then going after him as a human being. Like, they're still human beings. Like, yeah, they wear a sweater, but they still have a normal life outside of it too. Normal as you can make it. What's that, sorry?
That's where people lose me. Like, if you want to criticize their game, that's perfectly fine. That's what we're all really here to do. And that's what fans do, because they want to see their team win. And Edmonton. But when you start
Oof,
talking
yeah,
about these players and like their character, and then taking it as far as the racial comments,
yeah.
what are you
Like,
doing?
yeah, like every fan is in their right to sit there and talk about a player's play. For example,
Yeah.
Cam Atkinson, the year after Panarin left, he was terrible. People were
all
trashing
did
his
that
play
same
all the
year.
time, but nobody ever, at least from what I saw, nobody ever started demeaning him as a person.
hmm
But that shouldn't happen to anybody.
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you've been playing for 2 months or if you're like Joe Thornton and been playing for 72 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if someone really has to get criticized for their play, PLD though, and that last shift in Columbus, that was
He's an
Shift
Oh.
where he just kind of stood there. Did I miss
that was probably the most lackluster play I've ever seen.
Oh, dude, the best part about that, now they got Sportsnet trashing him again on his lack of effort in the game last night against the Habs.
Didn't they lose 1-0 to the Habs too? Now it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not think the Habs were going to be this good in the play because they're like, oh, there's Toronto's just. I predicted. I don't know why I did this, so Corey might blame me for this. I predicted the Leafs to sweep the Habs. So yeah, that was not a great take by me. I regret that.
Informed.
Zach, I think that you're a smart person. Why did you do that?
There's
You
two
know what?
words in there, Zach, that you should have known better: Leafs and playoffs.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what? Because I guess I got caught in the hype of, you know what? They went wire to wire. They dominated the North all year. They have a freaking wagon of a team. Maybe it's their time. And why did I think it was going to be any other year for the Leafs? I mean,
It's the same way with the Oilers. McDavid and Draisaitl are absolute monsters in the regular season, and then they are
That's
just
two guys, though.
non-existent.
yeah, but you look at the Leafs, though, you have, Hyman. I mean, Corey, give me your thoughts on the Leafs. Let's just go into the Leafs talk, because why not?
Where do you want to start?
Like,
Yeah, where do we even start?
the floor is yours.
Okay.
Go wherever you
We'll
want.
start with one simple question.
Okay.
What went wrong against the Canadians?
Everything.
That's a simple question.
Yes, that is a very simple question.
All right. What went wrong with the Leafs against the Montreal Canadiens is that Leafs.
I mean,
That seems like a simple answer.
I mean, hey, you know what? All right, well, moving on.
who are not super well informed on the Leafs. How would you explain it to them?
What happened in this series
Yes.
to them? All right. So there's a lot of excuses that people try to lean on when saying how the Leafs lost to the Canadians. Like game 1, they lose their captain. That's losing John Tavares is a huge loss. But they lose game 1, they go on to win 3 in a row. Can't use that as an excuse because you can win games. You lose Jake Muzzin in game 6, that's bad, but they rally back from a 2-goal deficit. Can't use that excuse. After game 4 in that series, there was no life to the Maple Leafs game. They looked dead. I don't know if they thought that they were just going to easily walk in and just win that 4th game and be able to move on. But Montreal played how they needed to play. They played hard. They got the Leafs off of their game. They frustrated them. What we were hearing all season about this team is they're just having fun playing hockey. They're having a great time out there. After game 4, I don't know that any of them smiled once on the ice.
Yeah.
They were miserable, and it was their own doing. And it was careless mistakes that led to every single goal. And then they're overpassing the puck. They can't score on the power play. They're running Joe Thornton out there on power play 1 every game, even though he's a detriment to the team. They won't put William Nylander on power play 1. He was the best forward aside from Jason Spezza on the Maple Leafs roster in the playoffs. And Marner,
How does Marner and Matthews get 1 goal combined?
1 goal combined.
And they were like what minus?
Does he?
I think the last game they were like
One.
combined -9.
17 games now without scoring.
Ouch.
Something like that.
Who was a Marner?
Yeah.
Yeah, 17 playoff games.
You have
No. Oh my gosh! And when you want to get paid $11 million and you score 0 goals, that's a rough take.
and
that
you
is-
have the top goal scorer in the league this year in Austin.
Yeah,
Matthews.
won the Rocket. 1 goal.
And he didn't even play all 56 games. So it's 42 goals in less than 56 games. And you get 1 goal and you look terrible doing it. I don't care what people have to say about their defensive game because that's not what they're paid to do. And the defense was doing fine. They didn't need them to waste all of their energy on their shifts coming back and playing defense. Like, yeah, they need to help out, and they did. But by the time they were back in the offensive zone, they were dead tired and they couldn't do anything. They were holding on to the puck too long. They were making every decision like just a split second too late, and it allowed the defenders to get in the way, and it allowed Carey Price to see the puck, and if he sees the puck, he's going to stop the puck, and they wouldn't go to the front of the net. They weren't making Price's life hard at all. There was nobody parked in front of him. And again, if he sees it, he's going to stop it, and that's what he did.
Yeah,
It's just wild how that happened.
it was definitely rough watching that. You know, I've loved Carey Price as long as I can remember. I love Nick Foligno. I was like half rooting for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, either way, I was going to be okay with whoever came out of the series. But after Game 4, like you said, the Leafs it seemed like they forgot that they were playing playoff hockey. It seemed like it was preseason hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened. You know, but yeah, you're paying Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner this amount of money. Now, granted, some guys choke in the playoffs or things like that. I get it. So, all right. So my question to you now, I'm going to preface this with, I do not think this is going to happen at all.
Okay.
But do you think a change of scenery would help Mitch Marner?
Ooh.
Oof.
It's hard to picture him on any other team, honestly.
I think that it would help the Leafs more than it would help Marner.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can agree.
The crazy part is that the front office is basically saying we're not going to go any of those 4 guys, and everyone's acting like none of the big 4 are going to move on, and it's like you're eating a lot of contract for 4 guys. Like
that's the problem because you
and
can't pay.
The bad thing. Well, here's the bad thing: 2 of those guys held out for that money, and one of them showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Willie Nylander. Something about 88 on a jersey.
Yeah.
Guys, Martin Nicias out of Carolina. Stupid good. Where's 88? Marner, 88. Or not Marner, Nylander. Gosh, I'm losing my mind. Nylander, 88. Absolutely stupid good. Pasternak, 88. Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane wasn't in the playoffs, so his skill just like went out to all of the other 88 jerseys.
Just evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the 88 just works, but it's just like it's wild that the whole because I feel so bad for Steve Dangle and all those guys that on the podcast, like Adam and Jesse, like they even said it too. Like it's just wild the fact that they had to deal with that saga for back-to-back years with Nylander and then Marner, and then Marner just fades off into the playoffs, and it's like if you want to get paid $11 million, you gotta play like you're making $11 million. You just can't not score a goal in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And going
And
back
you
to
get
that, I've got to agree with what Adam said on it was Wednesday's podcast. I think that
Yep.
Marner's game just doesn't lend itself to the playoffs.
What I don't understand is what is so different about playing playoff hockey. Like I know there's a lot more pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I know they don't call as many penalties because they just want them to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
What
That's a
else?
lot of it. Like you just get played harder. Guys are going to
Yeah.
be all over you, and
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't like
Yeah.
dealing with that, or it makes him nervous. Like that puck over the glass penalty with nobody around.
That should
He's-
not have
that-
ever happened.
He's gotten. I think Adam said like I think he's had like 7 over the glass penalties.
Yeah.
Like he has gotten. And that's what they were saying on the podcast too. It's like the fact that those guys they play so scared. Like for whatever reason, they did not want to get touched by the Canadians. And it's like, but if you're in the playoffs, you have to know you're going to get hit. Like That's just playoff hockey. Everyone tightens up because, the regular season, you're going to play defense, but you're not going to play playoff defense where you're seeing games where it's 3-2 or 4-3 or 2-1 or like Carolina and Tampa. The first two games of the series was 2-1 back to back.
Right.
You're not going to see that during the regular season. You might see it during the regular season if the goalie's on a heater and he's standing on his head, but playoff hockey is just a whole nother level. You're basically taking regular season hockey and just cranking it by like 100% or like
Yeah, 'cause guys are
100
just
levels.
going all out. They're just
Mhm.
completely selling out for the play because that's the end of their season if
So
they don't.
why weren't the Leafs doing that?
They're for whatever reason they're afraid to get hit. I don't know why. It's like, you're superstars, but the defense, like the Leafs had probably the best defense they've had. I don't know how long. I mean, they were deep
Yeah.
at all six spots.
The
And
defense looked great. That for once, that wasn't the problem. The defense and the goaltending was there,
Mm-hmm.
and they just
Jack Campbell, man, oh my gosh, that was a great trade to get him from LA because Freddie Anderson has been struggling the last couple of years. And they get Jack Campbell, and it's just like, oh, look at that, we have a goalie.
Fun fact: my cat's named after Frederick Anderson. His name is Frederick Catterson.
All right, that's actually pretty good. That's pretty funny. But no, it's just like, but Adam, those guys are right. It's like if you want the big boy money, you've got to show up and do it. Like,
Yeah, they weren't willing to go to the dirty areas. And the guys who would do that, being Spezza or Nick Foligno or Wayne Simmons and sometimes Joe, like all of those guys were injured beyond like a lot of Leafs fans were really upset after the series was over about the trade for Nick Foligno. But even like 30% of him that we got in the playoffs was more effective than the superstars, aside from Nylander.
Yeah.
Like, Foligno wasn't the problem. He was
Mhm.
out there, he was throwing his body around. He's not the guy you rely on to get you 10 goals in a
No.
series.
And I don't think people understood that. He was never that way in Columbus. He was
Right.
the guy that, oh, hey, they have a physical line. Cool. Nick, your line's going up and you're going to sit there and shut them down. You're not going to go out and score a bunch of goals or
Yeah.
be some, oh, well, I'm going to go have a 200-foot play. No, he wasn't for that. He was to bully the other team on the boards. That's what he was acquired for. That's
And
what Wayne
sometimes he'll
Simmons
get
was
you
acquired
that
for.
greasy goal by just battling guys in front and just
Yeah.
beating them to the
Just
puck.
get the puck to the net. Anything can happen.
And they
Like-
just
get it
wouldn't.
there.
They
Like,
wouldn't.
I don't know if, and I'm not saying this is an excuse for anything, but with Mitch Marner, who's 24, and Austin Matthews is 23, we all know in the hockey world, Toronto is probably, without a doubt, the biggest hockey market
Oh, for sure.
on the planet.
Mhm.
Think
and
that's why Courtney
They probably
Cronin
have the
is
highest standards.
Leafs is-
So it's every year he's been there, it's always been, oh, well, we're going to win the cup. We have the best team. We're going to win the cup. And they dominate all year. And then all of a sudden it's, well, now we have to change how we play. And I don't think he can do that.
I don't think he can either.
yeah,
Like
don't know.
he's great in the regular season, but as soon as
Yeah.
it starts to matter, he can't change the way he plays to compensate for how the playoffs are. It's just
Yeah.
he can't.
Jack, what were you saying? I thought you were saying something earlier. What were you saying about the Leafs being the biggest market? I thought you
Oh,
said something
yeah,
about
no,
Courtney's.
agreeing that they're definitely the biggest market, and I think our recent growth has been attributed a lot to
Yeah.
Toronto and Montreal fans.
Congrats on the big growth. Because I saw you guys hit 100, and all of a sudden I was watching your 3 questions on the last game for the Leafs. I saw like 450 subscribers. I'm like, there you
I
go. That's awesome. I was like, dang.
Did we really? Oh my god!
Oh well, congrats on 500. That's wild. Yeah.
Subscribers
Before
you started
playoffs.
covering Toronto. 77, and now we're 500 plus.
Yeah. I gotta say though, when it comes to Montreal fans, a lot of them were so nice throughout the whole
Yeah.
series. They were more fun and nice to talk to than Toronto fans, which was very odd. There were more Habs fans commenting on the videos than there were Leafs fans, and
You
that
think that
Isn't
stems
what I expected.
from hurt.
Maybe.
I
And
think
then
Leaf fans are just jaded. They're jaded
Well,
at this point.
absolutely.
also, people love Leafs fan sadness.
They do. They really, really.
Yeah.
The 3 games that the Leafs won, there were a couple hundred views on the videos.
Yeah.
The 4 that they lost, the last 2 have hit over 8,000.
They just
Wow.
Toronto fans to be sad. That's all there is.
Like one of the most watched videos over the last, say, week was the one with Steve Dangle just watching Game 7,
Oh, that's
just reacting the entire time.
Oh, the streams, yeah. I want to watch
Yeah.
this live, but of course we're not in Canada, so we have to watch it like 3 hours after it aired, which
Yeah.
stings. But at least you can watch it after. But yeah, I think what was it? The one with the Zamboni driver to David Ayers. I think that was like his biggest one, or
Yeah.
or no, or was it the one where they blew or they got absolutely just spanked by Nashville? It was one
Like
of those two.
9-2 by Nashville. I think.
Yeah, it was, he was
I think so too.
yeah, like he was like recording mid game, and it's like his
Mhm.
wife yells at him that they scored again, and it was just like, oof.
Yeah.
It's
I feel so bad for him. Having to watch that happen and be on live stream.
oh yeah, on Sportsnet Twitter or on Twitter, Twitter and YouTube. Like you really have to watch yourself. Like you really have to watch yourself. So yeah, because you're on Sportsnet's YouTube. Like
Right. So he can't swear, and he
Mhm.
didn't struggle with that at all, which I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
And
yeah,
you're
it's
just watching like the most heartbreaking thing that you can just happen in front of you. And I don't know about you guys, but after game 5, I knew they were losing this series. So it wasn't surprising, but just watching
Yeah.
it play out, I was like,
So
are you
sad.
fucking kidding me? They're doing this again.
Yeah. Like
I
watching
don't know
that,
what's
that
worse.
video with Steve reacting. I mean, each goal, you can tell in his mind, he wants to throw and destroy everything
Mhm.
around him. But all you see is,
Yep.
Here we go again.
The blue room is so nice, and you're like, man, if Steve just absolutely loses it, there's so much memorabilia in there. You're like, man, someone protect those things with all costs because
I know.
it's like, and you see, and the fact that the last video they did, like his last LFR, you're just like, you feel so bad for him because he's just popping a can of beer up, and he's just like, well, we're
Doing that
back
as a
here again.
one-taker, like,
Yeah.
god damn, I have
Props
to.
to him. For
seriously.
real.
Yeah, it's just like, and I really hope we don't lose LFRs because, like, he did talk about, like, he did joke about other fan bases watching this and see him lose it. I actually just started, I forget where I saw, I think one of his videos just randomly popped on my YouTube recommended because of, hockey and stuff. I just watched it. I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty funny. And I just started watching more of his videos, and I got his audiobook, and I thought it was great, and the podcast and all that. But it's just like, I want to watch because, I support, because I really like what Steve does and stuff like that. It's interesting, but it's like, I really hope we don't lose LFRs because, he's maybe somewhat kind of pay attention to what's going on with the Leafs because he just talks about it in a way where it's like it's actually entertaining and it's not,
Mhm.
Right.
you
and, like,
know.
sorry. Even if
go
you
ahead.
don't watch the games, like his LFRs will tell you exactly what happened within like 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And so you can
Yeah.
actually keep up with the team without ever watching them. Not that that's
Yeah.
something I would advise, but I mean,
But if you did.
right, but like if you didn't have
Yeah.
time to watch any Leafs games, you could still be informed about what they're doing
Mhm.
just by watching his little 20-minute videos.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that he'll keep doing them, but I definitely understand why he would want to stop because it's just pain year after
Yeah.
year after year.
Yeah. If pain was personified into a human, it's just human emotion. That's pretty much it. And even Adam's like, you're not going to stop doing those because that's like your thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
you have to love Adam Wilder. He's just like, Steve, step back from the ledge. It's okay. We'll just, as long as people are giving him his, his nugget fund, we're all good. I mean,
Yes.
And the Nugget
Alex, have you seen this on Twitter about Bengals nugget fund that they got going on for him right now?
yes.
Sounds like someone's jealous. I mean, I would love to have a nugget fund because why
Right?
not? Who doesn't want nuggets? just
I mean,
delivers
yeah.
them.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it when we were when I said that that's what I wanted.
Mhm.
I was like, huh, that kind of makes sense now since we're gonna be talking about the Leafs eat nuggets.
I mean, hey, I mean, we can talk about the Blackhawks, and I have to probably have to go get some myself because for
Yeah.
me, because it's weird because when we did our season prediction on episode 1, which was back forever ago, it feels like a millennium.
Oh
I
God,
said,
I don't want to talk
I,
about that.
shoot, we made a lot of bad. I picked the Flyers to win the cup, and oh gosh,
Blue Jackets in second place, baby. Yeah, that turned out real good.
You thought the Flyers were gonna win the cup. You thought the Leafs were gonna sweep the Habs.
He doesn't make a lot of good, well-informed decisions.
Hey! I picked Bruins in 5 to beat the Caps, and I picked the Islanders to win, and I picked Carolina to win correctly. So give me some
Homie,
credit.
a blind
Wow,
squirrel
bold
finds a
take.
nut every once in a while.
Oh,
I could never imagine the Islanders beating Tristan Jarry.
yeah. I mean, oof. I mean, yeah. Hey, I said Colorado in 3 just to be fun, and they did still sweep St. Louis, which I was happy
Oh
about.
my God, that just brings my heart so
That
much joy.
was the best thing to watch in a very long time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. And I have
thing-
nothing
I'm-
against the Blues.
The thing that I'm not looking forward to is facing Colorado next year, because that is not going to be fun.
You know, it's gonna be better than having to face the Florida teams every other night. So
I hate the Florida teams. The fact is that no one thought the Panthers were going to do anything. Then it's like, oh hey, we're going to play hockey.
right.
Like that.
Dude, I still think their biggest addition for Florida, regardless of all the guys they brought in on trades and these 1-year deals and all this, was Patrick Hornquist. Without a
Yeah.
doubt. That man was
Pittsburgh really messed up there.
Pittsburgh has messed up a lot.
yeah.
I mean, it's Pittsburgh. I mean,
Getting rid of Fleury so they could keep Matt Murray.
Oh my God.
ooh,
Solid
rid of-
decision there.
yeah, he's really killing it, Ottawa.
That's what worries me about Columbus. I'm like, are they going to have a Fleury Matt Murray situation? They're going to get rid of one of these goaltenders, and the one they keep is going to
thrive.
be garbage. And the one they get rid of is going to just thrive wherever he goes.
I think either way that happens, they're both goalies to where I think they're going to do very well when it's just their net. They don't have to share it. So regardless of where they go, it's just going to be dependent on who goes where and what team is in front of them.
Well, they might have to share the net wherever they go, too.
Yeah. No, I agree. But
the thing with the Blackhawks though is I had them finishing 6th in the division this year, but I thought it was going to be like what you Lace probably thought so too. It's like we have a lot of young guys. It's going to be we'll see how this goes type season because you don't know what's going to happen with all these young guys, and they're second at one point, third, fourth. And you're like, oh my God, this team might do something. Like we might be looking at the playoffs, and then March hits and go 5 and whatever that abysmal record was. I think Courtney, I think you did tweet it at some point. It was just some ridiculous
I
month
don't
where
even
it's like,
remember it. I've written off the month of March because it was terrible. But I think the Blackhawks sucked in the worst way possible this year.
Mhm.
yeah,
like
at the
you said,
wrong time.
Yeah, they gave us that little piece of hope just in the
Right
back
in the
of the
middle.
head. And they were
They
Yeah,
started out terrible. They went, whoa,
Yeah.
this is fun. We're doing great. And then just,
yeah, and
why
it's just
would
like,
you give us that piece of hope?
yeah, like why do that? Like I would have been fine taking this year. I thought we're going to be playing like 5 games under 500 the whole
Mhm.
season. We win 1, we lose about 2. We might win a couple. We might get like a 3-game win streak. Might lose like 6 in a row. We're going to be in 6th place, maybe 7th at some point too. Or creeping up kind of 5th. One of those things. But then we're so hot. Then the defense just completely just dies off. Leaves all of our goalies out to dry, and I'm like, we're really going to do this. And it had to be Nashville of all teams to make the playoffs. I'm like, I would have cared if it was Dallas that got in. I just don't want Nashville to get in. Nashville.
That's trying to join us.
That
Yeah.
was
If they had beat Nashville a couple more times, it would have been Dallas in the playoffs. That would have been fine.
I would have been okay with that because I don't really mind Dallas too much because they're actually kind of fun to watch, and we've got some friends of ours who are big Stars fans, and I would have been okay with them in there. And having Tyler Seguin's on the team, the dude's freaking good at hockey, and everyone else they have on that team. It's just, why Nashville? And I still go back to the Florida Panthers. Like, they kind of ruined it for everyone else because if they just played like how everyone thought they were going to play, it would have been a lot more interesting for 3 and 4 instead of, oh hey, who wants to be the 4 seed to get absolute killed in the first round by either Carolina or Tampa.
After that first game in the Florida series, it looked like it was going to be a lot more interesting. And then it just wasn't.
Yeah, that first game was one of the best playoff games I've watched in a long time.
It's one of the best hockey games I've ever watched. It was just so exciting. And I know a lot of people have said on Twitter and podcasts and anything, like, those types of games are the ones that gain fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, that's a game that it's somebody that has never watched hockey before, and they're like, I want to watch hockey. All right, watch this game.
Yeah.
Just watch this game.
It's just endless action back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So real quick before we get to we got some the draft lottery just happened. There's a couple interesting things that happened over the last I would say about a week or so. What are your ladies' thoughts on the Mark Scheifele hit in game 1? That was
the one where he tried to decapitate Jake Evans.
Yeah, and for the fact that he got less games compared to Nazem Kadri's. Kadri's hit was pretty bad on Justin Falk, but that wasn't 200 feet of ice in between that hit. And somehow he got more games. And I know they're going to go with he's a repeat offender, which
because he's Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, and for the I mean, if you flex in the penalty boxes, he might have gotten less games. But I know, Courtney, I know we've had a good number of conversations just on Department of Player Safety nonsense. But what are your latest thoughts on that whole situation with Mark Scheifele?
I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't think he was thinking at that point. It was just
he was just angry from the game.
It was just red mist. He was pissed off all game too,
which is fine. But he could have played that puck.
He made absolutely no
attempt
to play the puck. He was just locked and loaded to hit Jake Evans the whole time.
Came off his feet, went 200 feet to do it.
Yeah. And the thing was though, it's like you're going for a wraparound on an empty netter. There's not really much you can do. I would say at that point, you're like, you know what, he's going to score. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, he glided into him. It's like, yeah, but you still have 200 feet of, you gain speed. You're gliding, but you're gliding at a good 10, 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, because he
maybe
had
more.
skated back that whole time.
Right,
yeah. You saw him. He was chugging too. He was moving.
And if you're not intending to injure somebody, you don't fucking launch at them like he did.
Yeah,
in such a vulnerable position.
Yeah,
the goal was already going in. There was no point,
and there was nothing that Jake Evans could have done.
No.
Yeah, and you didn't even see him coming because Jake Evans' head was down because he wanted to score that goal and make sure he got in there and stuff.
On his birthday.
On his 25th birthday.
Oh, I didn't even know it was his birthday. Dang.
It was his 25th birthday, and it was his first playoff goal.
Oh, yeah, and he was getting, and when I saw that hit and the way he landed, so I'm like, that looked rough.
And he went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Which freaks me out because, he landed on his head and neck. You would think.
Yeah, that was a really, and shout out to, Nikolai Ehlers, though, for basically holding everyone back, hold that comeback. I don't really get a whole lot of jerseys for other teams outside of, Carolina and Chicago, but if I had to get one guy's jersey just for the fact of respecting the game, I have to get Nikolai Ehlers' jersey just for the fact that he's, holding the... And this is what... I forget who said this. It was a pet... Someone said it was their pet peeve. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Adam or Steve or someone. Why would you have a scrum right by the guy who's on the ice, like out? Like, why could you not move away from that?
They're not thinking. They're acting on emotion, and there needs to be
And
more.
that hit,
direction, and
though.
You have to have more control over that.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
Sean Avery can jump off a bridge for all I care. For the fact that he said that's a legal hit, and the fact that the kid needs to keep his head up, like, how can you defend a hit like that?
That shit is just pissing me off. There's so many people saying, "Oh, kid's gotta keep his head up." That's it's all on the guy who is skating 200 feet with his eyes focused on this guy, knowing he's not looking. He's in a vulnerable position. That is all on Shifley.
100%.
And that
Yeah.
was what? That was game 1 in their series, right?
Yeah, game 1, and he was out for 4 games, so that he might even be back for the series the way this season is going right now with Montreal just absolutely just
Yeah.
owning Winnipeg. He
Game
might even be
1.
there for the whole series.
Game 1 into the second round, at least for them. And we've now seen 2 instances where it looked like we saw a guy die on the
Yeah,
ice.
dude.
And I am fucking sick of it. And it's
Yeah.
on the NHL, it's on the Department of Player Safety because they won't do anything meaningful. And
Oh,
of course, like in the Tavares situation, it's completely different because it was
Oh,
unintentional.
no, it was not.
But like between seeing that and how traumatic that was, seeing Jake Evans and how traumatic that was, and then you have the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, and you have Reeves just kneeling on Graves's head. What the fuck
Yeah.
is going on right now?
and he gets like 2 games, and everyone's just like, "How's that getting 2 games?" Like the dude's literally, and I don't get this because it's in front of Colorado's net. Like it's not even in front of Fleury.
Right.
Like, why are you grabbing the dude's head, throwing him to the ice, and then your head, like you're holding his head, and then you show your knee on the back of his head. And
After
that's
cross-checking Grubauer in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they took off the 10-game misconduct too. Like they dropped one of the penalties off,
Yeah.
and then
they
it's like,
reduced, charging, didn't they?
And
From the Jake Evans hit?
No, they did it for
No,
Reeves.
it was the intent to
Yeah.
injure. That's the one.
That's
they
the
knocked
one.
off.
They took
yeah,
off
and for the fact too is it's like there is an intent to injure because you literally throw a guy on the ground and then you knee on his head
Right.
for a good while too. And Graves got hurt, like he literally got hurt because his face is literally getting pinned to the ice by a dude who probably weighs a good 20 pounds more than he is.
And that's
Literally
another
peeing
one
on
where
his
we're
head.
just seeing a player on the ice not moving. Like, how many times are they going to get quote unquote lucky, I'll say, as if a concussion is lucky, before somebody literally dies?
Yeah.
You can only tempt fate so many times with these
see,
hits.
And the thing is, those are the stupid shit that's gonna bring new fans in.
Yeah,
Because
according to
that's the
meatheads.
drama of the sport, and that's what's gonna bring these dumb people just looking for violence because
Yeah.
there's that saying like, "I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out." Like that's not what the sport is, and it's so frustrating when people come looking for that.
Yeah, it's not the 70s and 80s and 90s where you got a lot more fights. It's just not what it is. And it's like, I go watch NASCAR for the crashes. It's like, come
Right.
on.
And I don't think any of us here are against fighting in
No.
hockey, but it's not
No.
It's not what
no.
it's about.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like it's
just-
gonna happen. Fights are going to happen. Hockey is probably the second most physical sport behind rugby. Everyone knows that, but it's one of those things. You're not watching a game. Oh man, I really want to watch this game to see this person fight.
Mhm.
No. Now,
No,
I
if you wanna
still
watch
am
that,
waiting
go to
for.
the UCHL. Go to the UCHL and watch that if you really want to watch fighting
Right.
for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Like now, I'm still waiting to see Nick Foligno and Steven Stamkos drop gloves and go at it after Steven Stamkos' cheap shot in the playoffs 2 years ago. But
Oh yeah,
and then
Great fucking team, and nobody talks about it.
No.
Tampa's pretty. I like how the fact that everyone's up in arms when Duclair, took the stick in the back of Kucherov, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's dirty." Tampa is. They're
Did we
pretty
not
dirty.
see Tampa cross-checking all of the Panthers guys into the boards? Like,
Yeah.
why does one team get a pass and the other doesn't?
Well, and that's why
Tampa.
I hate the Department of Player Safety because Like you were saying,
watch it.
somebody
we might
is.
get fined though. We might get
I
fined,
don't-
Alex. You might
I
wanna
don't
watch
care.
out.
George Parrish is a
Fucking
piece
fine
of
me.
shit.
What's that,
It-
Cardi?
I said fucking find me. I don't care.
I'm not worth anything. Here, you can have one of my 39 jerseys. I don't care.
Right?
There's my fine. But it's ridiculous. Somebody literally is going to get hurt when there's no consistency over the Ryan Reeves thing, when Connor McDavid elbowed the dude intentionally earlier in the year.
Cut-
For
And then-
no reason.
And then
For
let's
no
not forget
reason.
about our best friend, Tom Wilson.
Okay, I was so glad you brought this up. So they hit Kadri. They hit Kadri with a repeat offender. His last suspension was like a year ago.
Because
They
he always
use that
gets
excuse.
suspended in the playoffs. That's what he does.
But here's the crazy part, though. Tom Wilson got suspended earlier this year for 7 games for an illegal hit, but they didn't use the easy. But
How
he's
is that not
gotten.
the definition of repeat offender?
Like, how,
and-
dude, you're
well-
getting like you would get suspended 2 times in the same season. How in the hell is that not a repeat offender?
And he's
Can we
had a
know-
20 game suspension. Like,
Yeah,
Oscar Sundquist, he literally cheap shotted a dude in a preseason game. And they're like, oh, we don't want to use a repeat offender against Tom Wilson. The dude got suspended earlier this season for cheap shotting a guy, but we're getting Nazem Kadri with one because it's been a year ago. But he's a
Right.
repeat offender. It's like,
I just don't know
What
why
are we
they
doing here?
love Tom Wilson so much. Like,
I feel like that
Oh.
why is
incident.
he the poster
Yeah.
boy?
I feel like that incident with Tom Wilson is what has set off the rest of this bullshit in
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Honestly,
and what I've noticed a lot is
He did.
that all of this lack of consistency, we're oddly enough, got really bad after the contract with ESPN was up and they went to NBC Sports.
Mhm.
Because if you look at it, NBC Sports, they have their babies, right? You have the
Mhm.
Bruins who are on all the time. The Flyers are on all the time. The Capitals are on all the time. The Penguins are on all the time. And which teams are the ones that almost never get hit with suspensions?
Mm-hmm.
The Flyers, the Capitals, the Penguins. Like it's irritating. So I'm not saying that's why, but it's very ironic to know that all of the lack of consistency just goes out the drain
Mhm.
with this new TV deal. Well, now that NHL is going back to ESPN, I am very curious to see what happens with that.
I am
To
too.
see if
I'm
they even care. If not, regardless, Paris needs to go. Like the dude is a freaking joke.
How do you have
I-
a goon
Right.
in charge of Department of Player Safety? It was his job to go out there and hurt people,
Mhm.
and now he's
Yeah.
the one handing out suspensions.
Like in my opinion, the Department of
Either
Player
way,
Safety should be like a third party.
Oh,
So-
absolutely.
it has to be because I'm sorry.
Like, atmosphere.
Like you have these third party arbitrators that deal with guys' contracts. Do the same freaking thing. Somebody that has a non-biased view looking at this, like, wow, this guy literally tried to kill somebody on the ice. Yeah, you're getting suspended. Oh, you were suspended earlier this year? Okay, indefinite suspension.
Right.
Mhm.
It's because the fact we're talking like he had Busnevich on the ground. He's got the stick under his neck, so he's almost choking Busnevich. Hits him in the head with a cheap shot, and then throws Panarin down with his hair, and it's like, oh, he gets a minor and a $5,000 fine. And
The-
players are acting like, well, we only wanted to be $5,000, and it's like, all right, well then keep doing stupid stuff then
Like
because you wanted that. It's just
that
like, it's
whole Tom
too
Wilson
much.
thing was there's 3 major things, right? With the 3 different players.
Mhm.
The other 2, the first 2, yeah, are they bad? Absolutely, shouldn't happen. But the reason, in my eyes, why the Panarin one was the most serious one is he didn't have a helmet on,
Mhm.
Right.
and he's grabbing him by the hair
Yeah.
and
And yanked
slamming
him
him to
too.
the ground. Dude,
Slamming
yanked
him
him.
You
Yeah.
could have
in
knocked
the
him. You
face.
could have knocked him unconscious. You could have sit there and done. Look at what happened to Pavelski in the playoffs against Vegas.
Mhm.
He didn't hit the ice that hard on his head with his helmet on.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
well,
a
let's
matter
not
of
even-
seconds later, there's a pool of blood under him.
Mhm.
Let's not even talk about the Bertuzzi thing from however long back that was, where he literally
Oh my God. I was watching that
slammed a
game.
dude face first in the ice.
Mhm.
Cheap shot.
That was
Cheap shot
Yeah.
punch from behind, and then just like pile drives his face into the ice and then literally ends the guy's career.
Which
yeah,
I
and
don't understand. Like, you're fighting for a reason out there, right? Like, fighting has its place in the sport.
Mhm.
But you can't go into it looking to completely fuck up the other guy. Like, it's gotta still root back to hockey at some point.
Right. There's
Like,
Yeah.
isn't
there has to be some sort of mutual respect.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
you were
and
saying it could go both ways with the goon being in charge?
Oh yeah, because he knows what these guys are like and how they think,
Mhm.
and so he could know to like actually pay attention to those guys and
but
actually punish them for doing things that he used to do.
yeah,
But with
and I
it-
find it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find it funny too. Like the Capitals Twitter account afterwards is like Tom Wilson shows violence, and they did like that stupid
bad.
that free bracket thing where it's like the best
Mhm.
scorer in the league, and like Gary, first of all, calm down with that because Tom Wilson's not that good of a scorer. Then it's like then the big one's like rent free, and
Mhm.
then it's like you want him on your team, and I'm like, he's like I'll take like Brad Marchand, even though he is a rat, wouldn't be mad if he was on the Blackhawks. If you
Mhm.
had
no,
well, I'm just saying, Tom Wilson is the only guy I would not want on my hockey team at all.
Mhm.
Period.
yeah.
And
Some
it makes
other
no sense because he's a good hockey player.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do this.
Yeah, his
But-
skill,
but
he's very good.
Yeah.
and Capitals fans like, well, he's such a nice guy off the ice, and it's like, hey, cool, he's
care
right off the
about
ice.
Who cares?
He's
Like,
trying to injure
Yeah.
guys on the
Yeah.
ice. That's what matters.
Yeah, it's
And the
just
whole-
crazy. And
The
I mean,
whole
even
rent
with, like I
free
said,
thing just pisses me off. Like
that's such a low hanging fruit like remark to make to
Childish.
somebody.
it's not rent free. It's the fact that all of this shit keeps happening and some players are getting 8 games like Kadri, and then you have what Wilson did, which was worse, I want to say, and he gets
Oh, it's way worse.
oh, they sit there and say they think it's rent free. No, it's not rent free. People are not stupid. We don't forget that he is an
Exactly.
asshole.
The whole thing, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a difference. Does Sidney Crosby, as much as I hate him, does he live in my head rent free as a Blue Jackets fan? Yes, because I hate his guts. But I can't provide a reason why I hate his guts. Tom Wilson, on the other hand,
well, he does complain a lot, and he does complain a lot. I mean, let's be honest.
Well,
but
well, yeah, because he
so
and
does
Pierre
Taylor.
Maguire go on their dates all the time.
I mean, hey, don't forget the amazing quote by Jonathan Toews where he tells Sidney Crosby to stop diving because that's basically what he did in the Winter Classic 1 year. It's like you're
Well,
fine, get up.
One of the best
Yeah.
things about Sid that I've heard was, ladies, I don't know if you heard it. I bet you did. So our good friends over at the Garage Beers podcast had Brandon Dubinsky on for one of their episodes, and they were talking to him about, the rivalry between Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin.
Okay.
And he was sitting there talking about, Ovi's a good guy. He was like, he got a stick for my kid and
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff like that. And he's like, fuck Sid. Nope. He's like, he is one guy I would never ask for a stick and blah, blah, blah. He
Well, I
he
mean-
absolutely couldn't stand him.
Those two always had an on-ice rivalry, though, so that makes
Yeah.
complete sense.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that quote just blew up all over hockey social media. It was just Pittsburgh
But-
fans were not happy, to say the least.
It doesn't make sense to me how people try so hard to compare Ovechkin and Crosby because they're completely different players.
No,
Yeah.
Because
like
they started around the same
their
time.
play style is so different.
Yeah.
Ovechkin
Be more
literally like it. Okay, if I wanted to pick somebody to take slap shots from the top of the circle or the blue line, who am I taking? Ovechkin all day. If I want somebody who's going to be an asshole in the crease, I'm going to take Crosby all day.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
each person is different. That's like trying to sit there and compare. Oh well, Wayne Gretzky wasn't as good as Shea Weber. Like, what the fuck? It's just two totally different things. Like,
Yes.
I still don't understand why Corwin from Bar Down does not like Wayne Gretzky. I don't know what his deal is. It's just not liking him whatsoever. It's wild. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched Bar Down at all, but they do like all these like quizzes and tier lists. And Corwin he's always like, oh well, Wayne Gretzky never lifted the puck, and he was playing in the league with a bunch of like painters and carpenters. And I'm like, come on. Like, really? Like, he just talks like so much crap about Wayne Gretzky. I'm like, this has to be a step. There's no way you can believe this. That Wayne Gretzky wasn't that good.
It's
Like,
gotta be
come
a
on.
bit.
It has to be. But I mean, he is a Leafs fan, so I mean, I don't know.
Not the
it-
smartest bunch.
it's one of those things like, is he great? Absolutely. would I like to see him in his prime playing in today's hockey world to see
Oof.
how he would compare? Absolutely, I would.
Yeah,
Even
Wayne
then-
Gretzky.
Even then, it would probably be different because he would have all of the new training and the nutrition and all of that. so
Exactly.
it'd
Yeah.
probably be. I would say he could own the league just like he did, but he would be a different kind of player.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't compare decades ago hockey to today's
Right,
hockey.
it's
That's
completely
Oh, yeah,
different.
for sure.
Yeah, it's like trying to compare how Ty Domi used to play to how Max Domi plays.
Right.
Right.
Like Ty Domi, totally different. The most penalty minutes of anybody. And Max Domi, while he still is that little fiery pissant, just like his dad was, he can't play the same way
Right.
at all. Just
It's just-
it's a different style now.
yeah, 'cause,
And
like,
it will be a
imagine-
different style in 20 years.
Right.
Imagine Ty Domi in the league now. Like that would be him trying to go against Reeves and Wilson, all those guys. That'd be something else.
All you have to do is get Ryan Reeves and take half of his height and put it on somebody, and there's Ty Domi.
Very true. Think of Rod Brendamore in today's league, where they're actually more concerned about guys like lifting
Dude.
weights.
He wouldn't play. He'd be sitting there doing push-ups the entire time in the middle of the ice.
He'd still play in today's game. That dude,
Dude.
is ripped.
Dude, Rod Brendamore is a scary dude. Like he would literally, he could probably throw out some patch jump on the ice and like do a shift and probably score like 2 goals and like fight 3 people and just
Probably all at the same time.
All at the same time.
and steal their lunch money just because. Like the dude is just like when you have to lock your own coach out of the weight room, that's really saying something. Like,
Yeah.
geez, you
Yeah.
don't want to meet Rod Brendamore in a dark alley. He might mess you up. Just look at him weird and see what happens.
I really would love to see him play nowadays. The man is just an absolute beast, and it's hilarious to see him absolutely jacked compared to some of these other players.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like there was a
Yeah.
shot that he was standing next to Sebastian Aho, and Aho was on his skates, and Brendamore was still about as tall and like almost 2.5 times as big.
Oh,
It's
my God.
hilarious.
You probably
you
wouldn't be able to
crazy.
tell the difference if he was standing next to a goalie.
Right.
They would look
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah,
the
pretty
same
much.
size.
I forget who it was too. I think it was either Corey Patterson or I heard it somewhere. But like when they were in the bubble and you see Rod Brendamore just outside, throwing crazy with the team, and he's just shirtless.
Got
And
his
you're just
shirt
like,
off.
I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
Rod, we get it. We
Yeah,
get
on
it.
the
And-
entire Hurricanes team, there was one person that refused to wear their shirt, and it was their coach.
Mhm.
None of the players. It was their coach. He has every
Yeah.
right to it. I'm not saying that, but still,
I mean,
it's-
hey, when you're that jacked, I mean, you really can't blame Rod Brendamore. I'm sorry. Like,
You might as well show it off.
Show it if you got it.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
all right, so so Alex, you want to get into some draft lottery stuff? Because finally, the worst team in the league got the #1 pick this year.
That was the
Shocker,
most
I know.
boring fucking
It was
draft lottery I've
very
ever
boring.
watched in my
It
life.
was.
Why
It
did I just
was.
spend 15 minutes watching
Yeah.
this. 2 teams traded spots, and it was number 2
It's-
and 3. Like,
Yeah. The whole
was-
so for me, the whole draft lottery thing, I think needs to go. Every other
It's-
sport goes based off of record. The worst team gets the #1 pick. The second worst team gets number 2 pick, and so on. I don't understand why the NHL has to do everything different and have the draft lottery. I mean, it makes it a little more entertaining
so
sometimes.
Edmonton doesn't get it every fucking year.
It's-
So
it's
they did it
insane.
back when they were finishing last.
Well, like look at New York. Last year they got the #1 pick. The year before they got the #2 pick. They still
Mhm.
suck.
Why can't the Hawks get that lucky? They got Kirby at 3, and
They
now we
did.
just never move up. Like, come on now.
Really
It's
went
I mean,
hard.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but
I miss
had
it.
their historically bad season and got screwed. But
Yeah,
they still
it's-
didn't get screwed because they got, what was it? Kale McCarr? Is that the
Yeah.
season they got Kale?
Mhm.
Yeah, but the fact that you look at the Sabres, you get Dolan, and now you're going to get Owen Powers, and they get Jack Eichel too. It's just like, geez. I miss the days where the Blackhawks were able to go get like Patrick Kane and then Jonathan Toews in back-to-back drafts in the top 3 because it's like, hey, look at that. It's like, oh, hey, here's pick 11 in the worst draft ever, and you're just like, all right,
Yeah, that
who are
means it
we
could be a
going to get?
surprise. You could
What's
get a
that?
surprise stud there since the scouting hasn't been that great.
Well, like you said too, Courtney. With how it comes to Sam Bowman and who we pick, we get the guys you're going to think if we would be getting. I mean, I wasn't thinking that we were going to get Boquist where we did, and I thought we were going to get Alex Turcotte. We get Kirby Doc, and actually, that's one I'm actually not mad about. But it's just like
I wanted Bowen Byram.
Byram, yep.
that would have been great too. I mean, yeah.
I'm not
it's
upset
just-
with Curbs, but I wanted Bowen Byram.
Yeah, I'm glad with I'm glad we got Kirby. He's great, but it's just like
Right.
This is probably the one time where I'm really just more excited for the expansion draft than the actual draft because it's just like,
Yeah,
Who-
I agree with
who
that.
cares?
Well,
Who
with
cares this year?
there's a problem with that with the draft. Like I was saying earlier, is that scouts weren't able to do their thing over the last year. You can't.
They had
like-
to scout over video.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Like
Yeah.
normally, so like at least from the Blue Jacket side, Jarmo Kekalainen, our GM, he would be going to Europe and to Russia to go to KHL games and some of the DEL games, and he'd be going to Canada. He can't do that. It's now he has to talk to a scout that we have in Europe to hopefully get a decent idea on a guy from a couple pickup games because their season was canceled.
Right.
So they have no idea. I mean, luckily, you know what, 3 of the top 5 projected guys all are from Michigan, but at least they all played in the NCAA. So
Yeah. Of course, the WHL had a whatever season that was. Same thing with QMJHL. OHL had no season.
Yeah.
And you had a hybrid other leagues, but it's just like this draft is going to be outside of Owen Powers and the three guys out of Michigan.
I really wanted the Hawks to move up so they could get Maddie Beniers. I wanted so
I
bad.
really
That would-
Good World Junior.
Oh my!
I
Oh my
really
gosh,
am
that was
hoping
so
there's a
great.
way the Blue Jackets can find a way to get him, but I don't think he'll last. But I don't know,
where are
because-
you guys at, Alex? Where are you guys at?
we're at 5. So the Blue Jackets have the 5 pick.
You might get lucky if somehow it falls your way.
I think, my opinion, I think he's going to go to the Ducks. I think he'll be picked at 3 because they're.
going second.
I don't
can
want to
see
say
that.
yes or no yet because I don't know who the Kraken are going to take.
Sure. I think
So
they're smart to take him.
I
Can you imagine-
agree.
I can't imagine having Nat Kid and Zegras on the same team in Anaheim. Like, good grief.
I mean, they're
Southern
a young
California.
team, but it's. I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know who's going to be taken where because a lot of that's going to be dependent on who Seattle takes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
some teams,
I'm
like
sorry.
some teams, could sit there and be like, "Oh, well, we really need a defenseman," and then you don't protect somebody, and it's like, "Well, shit. Okay, now I need a center. Never mind.
Right.
I can't take a defenseman." So I have no idea. I don't know who's going to be taken from any team.
In the draft,
Yeah.
it's always just smartest to take best player available in the first round.
Yeah.
Because by the time they're ready to play, you'll probably need to fill that hole in your lineup anyway.
Well, if
Yeah.
that were the case, then the Blue Jackets last year in the draft made no sense.
Who did they take?
So we took Igor Chinakov, who was not in any of the analysts' top 150 people.
Jeez.
Our GM made that pick, and everybody else is like, "Oh yeah, it's Igor Chinakov," and you like hear typing, and they're looking it up. They have no idea who this kid is, but luckily he is very good. He played for Avangard in the KHL, who actually just won their Stanley Cups, the Gagarin Cup.
Mhm.
He's really, really damn good.
I mean,
then-
everybody thought Yarmo was crazy when he took Dubois instead of Puljujarvi.
Yeah, look how that turned out for us.
I mean, it would have turned out well had he wanted to be in Columbus.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Everybody was very confused. Well, he's smarter than a lot of people give him credit for.
hmm
The one I'm looking forward to is, I don't know if you two have watched any of the IIHF Worlds, but
Mm-mm.
one of, at least for the Blue Jackets, one of our prospects, Gregory Hoffman, played for Switzerland, and he was one of the leading goal scorers in the entire tournament. And the kid is nuts. Like he was one that we got from Carolina for a 7th round pick, just some random trade last year.
Okay.
It made no sense. It was like signing rights to the kid. That's all we got
Mhm.
for some random 7th round pick, I think in like 23.
It was like getting
Yeah.
Kubalik for a fifth.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was just. Thank
What
you
a
so much
steal.
for that.
What a steal.
Love it.
Every-
It's just one of those like chef kiss deals where you're like, this somehow worked out perfectly, and I'm all here for this because
Right.
Kubalik is just.
And
I'm
so many
actually.
people are like, Bowman never makes any good trades. I'm like, No?
He's very hit and miss. I call him a hit and miss type guy where it's like, we talked about this too on Twitter. Yoka Haru, that was
I don't.
that was like right after we started our podcast.
It was. It was like our third episode.
Yeah, it's
We
just
had
called
just
anger.
raved about how great
Yeah, this
Joker
episode
Yeah.
before we had talked
and we
about how good he
released
is.
it. And a
Yeah,
day
and
and a half later, they fucking trade him for Nylander.
Well,
Alex,
when I heard Nylander, I'm like, wait, did we just get Willie Nylander? And I saw what it was, and I'm like,
Wrong one.
Nylander.
Wrong one. The bad one, not the good
we
one.
got the wrong Nylander. We've seen how that's been playing out. You're just like, why? But then, yeah, then you get some trades where you're like, okay, this actually kind of worked out. And the fact that we got Kubalik for basically fleecing, it's like, I'm okay with that. And I saw in the world's like Reichel, that kid we got from Germany, who we played in the that preseason like tournament thing a couple of years back. He played really well for Germany too. Like they're talking about because he even said he's still a couple years away, but he's almost kind of accelerated himself a little bit. Where they're talking about having him down in Rockford next year, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah, all
I
the
mean-
rumors were that he would sign his ELC after the tournament.
I'd be all here for it actually, because I want to see him in Rockford just absolutely putting about 30 pucks in the net, just basically dominating. So
That'd be great.
I'd take that.
Have somebody to score goals.
What?
Yeah, like
what's
Brandon
that?
Peary got stuck on the freaking taxi squad all year long, and he was like our only goal scorer in Rockford. He played what, like 2 games?
That made no sense.
There was only a couple, yeah.
Yeah,
They
like
just
why?
kept him on the damn taxi squad. They wouldn't let him play anywhere.
I hate the taxi
Oh.
squad. It needs to be
Oh.
burned to the ground.
Oh yeah, I believe you talked about this a lot, Courtney. It was just a lot of what, like every other day, taxi squad move, taxi squad move. It's just like up, down, going to
Literally
Rockford, going to
every
taxi
morning
squad.
we were waking up to another move,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
I tried
Can't
to
we just-
follow it for the longest time, and then it
You
just
just
got to a point where I was like,
gave up.
who's in the fucking lineup tonight? I don't know. I don't know where anybody is. I don't know if they're a healthy scratch. I don't know if they're on the taxi squad. I don't know what's fucking going on anymore.
Like, last
are they gonna
season,
be in
I would know.
Rockford?
like I would know the lineups at like 9:30, 10 a.m. last year. This past season, game would start at 7:00. 6:54. Here's your
Right,
lineup.
yeah,
Oh, cool. Thanks, guys.
Sometimes you
Appreciate
don't know
that.
until like 7:30. Like, who's playing tonight? Oh, that guy's on the ice. When did he start the game?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, of course, Jeremy Colleton's like, oh, he's playing Cloak and Dagger. Like, well, he won't tell us who's going to be playing in the game. We're like, Jeremy, just stop. Tell us who's going to be matching up where. Like, we know
He probably
Kane's gonna
didn't
be on the
even
top
know.
four.
He doesn't know
Yeah.
who's on the taxi squad either.
I'm really on the fence with Jeremy Colleton because it's like he does good at some points, but there's also other points too where you're like, Jeremy, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Exactly.
Mhm.
Like, I don't get his in the fact that he keeps driving this method or this like whatever system he wants, and it's like I don't get it. But with all these young guys, it was working,
Mhm.
and you saw Patrick Kane smiling and having a great time for the first time in like 3 seasons, and you're just like,
Mhm.
maybe it's finally working, and then just this
It
tax
works
squad thing is just
really
it's driving me bonkers. It was
That's
just
why
getting like,
he's a good coach here in Rockford is
Mhm.
because it was a very young team, and for some reason, the system that he has works with the youngsters. It's the old guys that
They're just so stuck
they're
in their
so stuck in their ways. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know how to.
And it's like an
play
ego
anywhere
thing.
else.
I don't.
Yeah, definitely. That's a factor.
I'm not gonna listen to this young coach.
Right. Because he's.
The
I
first-
mean, Jeremy's younger than what, like
Some of them, yeah.
2 or 3 of the
Y-
players.
younger.
Yeah.
than Dunks, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was younger than Dunks and Seabrook. Like, it was just like,
Yeah.
what? I think it was like 2 years younger than Duncan Keith. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And then he's like maybe a year older than Patrick Kane. You're just like, wait, what is going on? Like, or like a couple years older than him. It's like, wait, what's going on here? Like,
Because he played with Seabrook.
He did.
oh, that really tells you something. And for the fact that we lost Seabrook, I mean, it's weird knowing that Corey's now retired, Seabrook's now retired. like we're getting to the point where I've been not really looking forward to the fact that all the guys we've had for so long since 08, 09,
Mhm.
when we were finally getting out of that dark days of never seeing the Hawks on TV outside of going to games because they were just never on TV.
Mhm.
And now it's like it's Keith, Taze, and Kane that are left.
Mhm.
And I'm just
Maybe
like,
Taves.
Maybe Taves.
We don't
yeah.
know. We don't really know.
who knows with that situation? But it's just like,
UFA after this season, and he
Yeah.
might go back to Sweden.
Okay. I'm just saying he's still playing.
Oh yeah,
who's Jalmerson?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw something he might go back. I'm not sure though, but
I don't know how
So,
valid those rumors were. I didn't
Yeah.
see it
Yeah.
from any good source.
Yeah.
But I saw
Yeah.
people talking about it.
yeah, of course Shaw also retired too, and things to lose him as well because you really liked him, but it's been concussions.
Hossa?
It was just
Man.
that. The fact we lost Hosa at that time, I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well, and it was.
And
The
it
losing
happened.
Yeah, and the fact that we could. The Jalmerson trade. I mean, I'm glad we got Dylan Strome, but I still miss Jalmerson though. He wasn't putting a lot of pucks in net, but he was that guy.
There's
That would
nobody
just-
like him. He's a
Yeah.
defensive defenseman.
Which is
Yeah, he was
so
big.
underrated.
Absolutely.
Weirdly.
Yes.
He was blocking shots like he had he was like leading the league in block shots almost every season. Like the dude was just he was like having a second goalie on the ice, and you're like, oh, we're going to trade him for offense. It's like,
Absolute warrior for
Dumb
years.
decision.
yeah, and then it's like Nick Schmaltz is gone, and hey, we got Hinstroza back, and I'm like, all right, and he clicked, and I'm like, well, perfect. I mean, we got some help, but it's
Well,
just
he was one of the younger guys that worked under Jeremy's system in
Yeah.
Rockford.
Yeah, he loved playing for Jeremy by all accounts.
yeah.
So I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
The vets
It's
that
just
don't like it.
yeah, it's just a weird change of guard where we're losing a lot of the guys from the cup runs
Mhm.
to where now it's like, all right, now we have to try start getting invested in, like with Brink, how long he's going to be here for. Then we're going to do with Ian Mitchell at some point, Wyatt Kalynuk, Lankinen,
Yeah, it's
Brandon
like they
Hagel.
have to find their identity again.
Yeah.
Like they have to become a completely different team without those guys, and I can't imagine how hard it is to try to find your new identity when you're under this newer coach who's young and it's working for the younger players. How do you define that? Like,
I guess we kind of did see the start of that this season too when they
Uh-huh.
didn't have Taves. Like you
Right.
have to figure out what you are without him.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it looked really good. I mean, I love all the young guys that really stepped up because we talked about Kershaw played really well, Pius Suter.
hmm
Whoever that dude was that said, like, try to get Pius Suter, not going to happen. We're never getting rid of Pius Suter. Like,
Yeah,
he's
for Seth.
staying in Chicago. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, for him, for Seth Jones, like, no. And then it's like, Ian Mitchell, and we just have so many young guys that it's like they were playing really well and give them more time. I think the Hawks are going to be fine. It's just you've got to find, like you said, got to find an identity of what this team is going to be like. And
And
I think it's a good start this year for sure.
Oh yeah, and it's hard with the amount of fans that are like, "Fuck Jeremy, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a kid. This system obviously isn't working," and they're just so negative. And like, I get it. I can criticize him absolutely,
Mhm.
but you can't completely give up on the guy. It's only been a couple of years. The system is
Yeah.
obviously working for certain players. Like, it
Yeah.
would just be dumb to get rid of him at this point.
That's why I was
Yeah.
kind of dreading the Panthers doing well because of all of the Q fanboys coming
Yes.
out of the woodworks again.
I mean,
Like,
I
see?
love
Exactly.
I love Q, but like I can understand why we kind of had to move
Mhm.
on because it was.
Absolutely.
It's just at that point in the season, though, it was like yeah, it's just 20 games, like less than 20 games in the season. I'm just kind of like, that kind of like a premature move because that early in the season.
They should
But I
have
can
done it in
also-
offseason.
Absolutely. I will.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a movie, you should have done it in the off season to where it's like, okay, it's been a really rough patch the last couple of years. Maybe we need to kind of move on.
Mhm.
But to have him for like 16, 17 games, then it's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, we're gonna fire Quenneville. It's like,
Because it seemed like they knew they were gonna do it.
Right. So why
So-
did they wait so long?
It's like they were They didn't have the balls to do it in the off season. They needed something to go wrong to have an excuse to do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
And
it just makes
I
it
mean,
work.
Still dumb,
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
mean,
that
and
goes
like I
back
said,
to NHL GMs being the dumbest people in the world. So,
yeah, and like I said, I'm on the fence with Jeremy. I like what he does sometimes, but there's also sometimes I'm just going like,
Like,
what are we doing here? But it's
why won't you healthy scratch Calvin DeHaan? Why? Why won't you
make
do
it make
it?
sense.
Ah!
yeah.
Why won't
And
you
I-
start power play unit number 2? The first
Yeah.
one sucks. Ah.
Oh, and like and the fact too is just like in Zadorov, I really hope Zadorov finds his footing because that we gotta make that work. We gotta make that Zadorov thing work. I don't get
I
it.
don't know that they re-sign him in the offseason.
No, probably not. And I'm curious. Now, you know what? If the Kraken go and get Subban or we move Subban somewhere else, I wouldn't be upset and just have Delia and Lincoln in next year because I don't understand the Subban move. I don't understand the contract extension. And I miss Robin Leonard. Like, we, for whatever reason, had the best goalie tandems, trade them away for whatever reason, and then like we trade away Leonard, and then you let Corey walk, and the most that's another thing I really did not like was the fact of how they let Corey go. And that whole thing is like you could have given him a proper send off.
Yeah.
Right. They
Like,
were just like,
did-
no, we're not gonna re-sign you. Thanks for everything.
We're gonna give you the most disrespectful contract ever. You know, you won us 2 Stanley Cups, the most underrated guy in Chicago because people for some reason gave him so much crap, which I don't
Mhm.
understand. It's like Boston fans giving Tuukka Rask all this trash because he hasn't
Right.
won them a cup yet. But Corey Crawford literally got 2 cups for the Hawks, thrown on his head, and it's like, oh well, Corey Crawford's terrible. It's like
Should have gotten the Conn Smythe in 13.
I think they even said it too. Like Corey deserved to get a Conn. I think who did get
It
him
was
third? Was that yeah? Like he even said like it should have been Corey that should have gotten that. It's just like it's wild. That it's like he got so disrespected by. I know you ladies weren't doing it, but like other Hawks fans I saw were doing it. And then you see the team just be like, oh well, here's a nothing contract.
Right.
But
It makes me laugh too
Come on.
because fans outside of Chicago that are fans of other teams think that Blackhawks fans loved Corey Crawford. And like, are you new? Because
Oh man,
everybody hated this guy for no reason. I spent a decade of my life
Defending it.
fighting people, defending
Like-
him.
like you see that tweet of like the cell phone like 7 feet long. Like who would you defend in this like tweet? I'd be like Corey Crawford and insert other player that gets so disrespected. Like
Yeah.
I kind of wish Corey got sent off in a more proper way, and same thing for Brett too. Like
Yeah.
the Hawks, I think this year, the Hawks need to do something for Corey and Seabrook. They have to
They do.
because you cannot go into a second season without giving Corey anything. Like
Mhm.
yeah, they have the one shift thing, which is kind of cool, but it's like you have to have a ceremony for those guys.
Mhm.
They
And
shouldn't wait like 10 years. They should just put those numbers up in the rafters now. Just do
I
it.
was about to say that like all the like me and Alex talked about this too on another episode. For me, the guys who should get their numbers retired, Seabrook and Chelios for 7, Tays and
Chelios,
Savard for
who
19.
cares? Just give it to Brent. Chelios didn't do shit here.
Hot take.
Yeah. I can
And then
see
he
you
went to
making.
Detroit and won the cup and brought it back to Chicago like a fucking idiot. So fuck Chelios. I don't give a shit.
All right, well, okay, then let's get it for Steves. Let's get it for Savard and Tays at 17. Kaner at 88 has to get it. And Corey has to get one too. And Duncan Keith at 2. And
Mhm.
whoever else was a really good number 2 as well for the. There's like all the guys who were really good in those certain numbers and the curtain guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give the core guys and, Savard and all those other, classic Hawks that wore those numbers too. They all have to get their numbers retired. It's like, you don't have the 3 and 6 without that core. I mean, you got a lot of other guys who did stuff too, but
Yeah.
Still,
Like, I get it. You don't want to retire too many numbers, but at the same time, like 3 and 6 is a
Right.
big
How
deal.
often do you do 3
Yeah.
and 6?
Yeah.
yeah, it's. And like I said, like they have to do something for Seabrook and Corey because you can't have 2 of the 5 core guys go and you have like nothing for them.
Right.
And
I hope
but
they
going
do.
back to I still don't understand we lost. I don't understand why we lost Leonard. It still upsets me so much that we lost Robin Leonard.
I'll
Like,
never
could you
understand that trade. It
could
was
you
like,
imagine if we still had Leonard here and Lincoln as his backup? Oh my gosh!
what are you thinking, Courtney?
It would be interesting. I don't know. It didn't make sense to make the trade. It wouldn't have made sense to keep him for a rebuild, but I would have just let him go in the offseason because it made no sense. They
did that
I guess
stupid
they
trade
weren't
to Toronto, who
Yeah.
had him for like 5 seconds, literally,
meant to
and
Vegas.
straight to Vegas.
And we got
Yeah,
a prospect who nobody ever talks about. And
I don't even know what happened to that kid. Like we got that prospect, and I'm like,
he's
has
playing
anyone ever heard?
for Denver College or Colorado. One
Oh
of
my
the
god!
colleges.
Oh,
out
Colorado!
in Colorado.
Oh, Colorado College or whatever that thing. Oh my gosh!
I think he was
Look-
playing with Ian Mitchell, so whichever one he came from.
Oh, Denver. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
Denver. Yeah. Yeah, but of course, you got Jacob Slavin's brother playing at Colorado College, which I'm kind of excited for. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's
He
just
looked
like,
good when he came to Rockford. Josiah
oh
Slater.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Hawks do moving forward and stuff like that. And just, I don't know. It's oh
They've got a long way to go. From watching this year's playoffs, they've got a long way to go.
Oh yeah.
hey, you know, if they get Zach Hyman in free agency, I wouldn't be upset.
Hey, there we go. That would be good.
Alex, you got any more questions for the girls? I know we're going on 2 hours. This would be a short episode. 2 hours later, hey, we're still talking about the
That's what we're
Hawks
good at
and
doing.
Alex, you got any more questions?
Well, one, the Islanders beat the Bruins today,
Hell yeah.
4-1.
So it's 2-2 now, right?
Yep.
Series?
So
There goes my Bruins in 5 pick again.
who do you all have
Oh, my bracket's
going to the
destroyed.
Final Four? All right, we'll start with Avs and Knights. Who's coming out of that series?
Colorado.
How many?
Oh, Colorado for sure.
So Colorado's up 2-1 right now. You think they're going to just win the next 2? Take it to 6?
I say 6.
I'll say 6 as well.
Right.
We'll do this one last. Islanders and Boston. Who's coming out?
I really want the Islanders to
I could see it going to 7 just to be
Yeah.
fucking obnoxious.
because it's the Bruins.
And I'll say Bruins because they
Because
just
that's
have
what
a
they
way
do.
of annoying me every year.
Is that because you're a Leafs fan, or is that just because in general?
Both?
Yeah, definitely.
Fair
both.
enough.
All the
Never really
above.
liked Boston. The only time I rooted for them was when they beat Vancouver in the Cup final.
And watching Vancouver burn their city down too, which was just
Yeah. Yeah. That was a
that was
fun.
something else.
Canes, Tampa.
Oh,
Tampa and
Tampa.
5, whatever.
It makes me so sad because I really liked Canes, and I
I
thought
don't
that-
want them to win. I want Carolina
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah.
I just
Af-
don't understand how they're not doing better.
After blowing
Uh,
today's game, I don't see him coming back.
yeah. The first 2 games was kind of rough because the fact they had all the opportunities to score, but just shooting pucks wide and just
Game 1, they were the better team, and there's just that
Andre
bad goal by
Vasilevsky.
Nedeljkovic. Ugh, I feel so bad for the kid.
Yeah, I mean he's good. I know he's up for the Calder. I don't know if he's gonna get it though. I know Slavin's up for the Selkie, but no, it's just like or no, the late Bing, but no, still it's just like Carolina could have won those first 2 games and it just didn't work out. So it's basically for me, it's pain and pain. So basically, it's just like yeah. So I guess me and Courtney are in the same boat. Both of our number 1 and 2 teams are just gonna be like, why do you do this to me?
At least yours got to the second round.
Very true. I mean, my other team
Barely,
doesn't.
though. Barely. Nashville gave
Yeah.
them a run for their money there. And
Yeah, at
so-
least they make the playoff runs. At least the other ones actually won cups, which you ladies know. But it's just, boy, I don't know what. It's been. I love playoff hockey, but I also just like it gives me just. It doesn't help my anxiety at all or my mental health. It's just like,
Takes
oh
minutes
hey,
off of our lives.
I become
Yeah,
the most superstitious person during the playoffs.
She will literally
Yeah.
see in the bathroom if something happens. She wasn't there to see it.
Let's
So
see. What was it? Game 5 for Toronto this year. Once they went down, I started washing dishes just to walk away from the game. And then they fucking tied it up, but I was out of dishes to wash, so they lost in overtime. 'Cause I
Damn,
had
Courtney,
washed
what
them
are you
all.
doing? Gosh.
damn it, Courtney, why don't you have more dishes?
I had a pile too, but I just got through
Just
them all.
keep washing the old ones.
You should just make food and just dirty those dishes up and
I
start
should
washing
have.
those.
Just
Make a
and,
grilled
like,
cheese or
eating
something and
washing
just
eating washing dishes. I can't stop.
yeah, just make like a quick like grilled cheese and just eat it and then just start cleaning the plate and just
I should
put it
have.
on
It
All
repeat.
you gotta do is like get the plate, get ketchup, throw it on there, rub it around. Oh crap, it's dirty. I gotta wash this one too. Yeah.
Man, nobody told me that was gonna happen.
Gosh.
I don't do anything out of the ordinary. I just don't sit down. I've never sat in any situation for a playoff game.
Really?
I stand up. When I was a kid, I would sit there and play video games all the time, and I would play Madden, stood up all the time. For playoff games, especially when I'm there, I don't sit down. I'm that guy. I don't care. I just don't sit down.
That's so weird.
So, but for the Blue Jackets, especially the series against Toronto in the bubble last year, I was going stupid. Like game 5, I got obnoxiously drunk in my own house. It was just my wife and I. My kids are upstairs asleep. I woke them up a couple times because I'm just being so stupid. And I don't know why. I just don't sit down. Not sure.
It worked last year.
Yeah. Well.
And then Tampa happened.
Yeah. Well,
hey,
it doesn't help that we played
Do you not
14
sit
games
down
in
for
game
that
1.
6 overtime game or 5 overtime?
That was dumb. It started at 3:00. I was working.
Amazing. I
So
don't know what you're talking
I was
about.
working at home, and it was like 3:00. All right.
Mhm.
So I have a TV up above my main monitor. So I threw the game on. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll watch this while I'm working. I threw a meeting on my calendar so no one would bug me. I'm just watching this. Watching. I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to go to overtime. And second overtime. Third overtime. Dude, I'm hungry. It's like 7:00. Fifth overtime. It's 9:00. I need to get my kids to bed. Thank you, Braden Point, for scoring. Now can I go to bed? Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But
Oh man.
so we'll talk about your favorite series, not before we add in our favorite fun fact of the day, that the Atlanta Thrashers have been more successful in the playoffs since 2003 than the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you.
Oh, that tweet.
Yeah, well, which one's still a team, okay? Which one's still a team? That's all I got going.
Speaking of
you-
the Thrashers,
You have to admit though that whoever runs that account doesn't, for some reason, just doesn't miss.
I
Like,
know, right? But the not Thrashers account or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so while we're
it's,
talking about the Thrashers, or formerly the Thrashers, the Jets and the Canadians. So Canadians are up 2-0, which I'm not sure how many people outside of, I guess, me saw that coming because I hate the Jets. Who do you guys see ultimately winning that series?
I want Montreal to win.
I'm at the point I want the Canadians to sweep the Jets.
Me too.
One,
I would love
I
to see
hate
that.
Pierre-Luc Dubois now with a passion, with a passion
I think that's
for
good.
so many reasons.
That's
And
fair.
I just don't like the Jets.
Also fair.
I didn't mind them until that game
That-
1 with the
yeah,
Shifley
that
hit.
hit.
Well, I mean, I always hate Central Division teams, and in a normal year, they're in our division, so I always
Yeah.
root against them. But I don't think Montreal's going to sweep them, although that would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. So before we end this, oh, sorry. What's that?
5 teams?
Okay.
Maybe
I'm
even
going to die on the hill. Montreal in 4.
In 4. All
All
right.
right.
That
I
would,
got
be, that
that
would be
sweet.
something. That would be something. All right. So
Yep.
before we let you ladies go, so I know you do 3 questions on your show. So I have 3 questions for you ladies to answer, and they're going to be interesting for sure because they do involve mostly a lot of hockey stuff, and it's going to be the tough questions like, which would you prefer?
All right. Okay. You
I
ready
love
for
these
this?
things. Yes, let's
All
go.
right. I'll let you
Alright.
answer each one of them first.
Oh God.
All right, first one. You can only watch this team for the rest of your life. You can't watch the other one. Rockford Ice Hogs or the Chicago Blackhawks. One team for the rest of your life. You have to watch one and not the other. You can, no updates, no nothing,
You can't even hear news about them.
no nothing. You basically have to only know what's going on with one team and watch them for the rest of your life. Ice Hogs or the Blackhawks.
Bro, it's 2021, man. You can't not get shit from Twitter.
That's a good one.
You can't really.
Hey, you can block the word Blackhawks.
I mean, that's true. Oh man.
or Ice Hawks.
Just like I block
Yeah.
literally every word that's political because I hate it.
There you go.
I did that. That's what I did. Thank you, whoever said, "Hey, you can mute words," and I'm like, "Thank you, goodness."
Dude, my mute list is a fucking thesaurus. It's like 39
I don't
chapters.
think I have any
Manga, Trump.
because I love chaos.
Watch the world burn.
Commissioner of Chaos over here. So, who is
Okay,
it?
So, would you rather watch the team and not get to know where these people are going, or would you rather not know what was coming and just watch that team? I really love AHL hockey. I think AHL hockey is better than NHL hockey, and I will stay on that hill forever. Oh, that's so hard though.
I didn't say they're going to be easy.
No. Okay. I think for accessibility's sake, I'm gonna stick with Ice Hogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
So this is so in the AHL, I only watch one team, which is the Ice Hawks. The NHL, I
You
watch
watch.
as many games as possible, so it would be very hard to not watch the Hawks because then I would have to miss a game whenever the other teams are playing them.
Uh-huh.
But the Rockford Ice Hawks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sticking with it.
Sticking with it.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, how could I stop being a season ticket holder?
I know, dude.
They're in our town.
They are.
And
Yeah.
Crawford retired, so nothing. I don't have to fight anybody about the Hawks anymore. So I don't really
Yeah.
need to know. And they're not winning currently, so I would rather root for the team that I don't expect to win anything.
That's the key. That is.
Yeah.
the
Oof.
key.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be a hard question. It kind of was, and you guys just navigated your way right through that, and it kind of just worked out. So,
I also
Yeah.
prefer AHL hockey to NHL hockey, so
okay, that makes sense. All right, number 2.
number 2.
Let's just say the Blackhawks get, I won't say they're relocated. Let's just say they get erased forever.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Let's just say something happens. Like, let's say the Hawks do get moved.
Out. Just,
just pull the magic eraser, or like I said, they get relocated or whatever.
all right.
You have to pick a second team to root for, and you have to get all their gear, and you got to move to that. You have to move to the city, but you can't say Maple Leafs. You can't say Maple Leafs.
Okay.
So I knew you were going to say Maple Leafs to that.
Okay, Alex.
No
You
bias
have to-
here.
No, none.
You have to pick a second team, and you have to move there, get the gear, all the 9 yards. Who is that second team in the NHL that you would go root for and relocate to that city? Can't be Toronto.
Maybe Toronto. Okay.
Well, Jacqueline, you can't say Toronto. Courtney can't. So there is that loophole. So Courtney can't say Toronto.
Say Toronto.
Yeah, Courtney can't say Toronto
Okay.
because that make it too easy for her.
Okay, so it's, I think, for what I'm thinking right now, just first. Okay, so it's between Toronto, Philly,
Okay.
Carolina.
The face of disgust.
The Philly answer was just so great because it's just like, excuse me?
Why?
I love Philly as a city, and I can get down with gritty, and I like orange. My car is orange.
I could
can drive my car
understand
around
liking the
with
team.
The
But the-
Flyers are almost more painful
No, I
than
know they're bad.
Toronto
I
to
know
root
they're
for.
bad. I know they're bad, which is why I think I could do that.
That was just so
Because
out
I-
of left field.
I don't think
This
I would
question
No
put out
Columbus, no,
this question put out so much better than I thought it would.
no
Just to get
warm
the-
city. Let's just
Hey,
go
I
all
went
cold.
down to Carolina.
It gets cold there, right?
It gets cold.
Yeah, it can get colder. It did actually one year when I did live there. It did snow. It did get like 18 inches one year, so it snows. It snows, but not a lot. But it gets cold.
Toronto, Philly, Carolina, Colorado.
Okay? You've added teams. All right.
I added one team.
So you
It's
have to narrow
alright.
that down from 4 to 1.
Yes, I do. I'm going to.
Who do we delete first? Who's the weakest link?
Who is the
Oh,
weakest link?
Zach, I've got my answer from if it were Columbus, and you are not going to like it.
Okay, the weakest link when it comes to
Those 4.
hockey
Mhm.
would probably be Philly,
Okay.
even though I love the city. And
Why?
what do you mean why? Philly's wonderful.
Okay.
It does have a lot of cool history. I'll give it that much. I'm a big history nerd, so
So does
you mean
Boston, and you didn't
No, why would I
include
wanna
that.
go to Boston? You know I hate the Bruins.
Yeah, but if you're going off of the city and history,
I'm
Boston's pretty
including
cool.
it as a factor.
Okay.
oh, I'm so glad I asked this question.
So it's between Toronto, because you
Fuck
can't
you.
listen to me. Toronto, Colorado.
Okay.
Those are.
Wait, you eliminated Carolina?
I did eliminate.
You didn't give us that. Why did they
It
get?
happened. That's all you
Okay.
need to know.
Okay.
Um,
Two very cold places.
I can't.
They get a lot of snow.
If I moved to Toronto, I would never see you again because you can't pick them.
No.
Well, then I can't pick them. I'm going to Colorado. Come with me.
No.
I know.
No.
Okay. Yep. Colorado. That's my
The
choice.
Avalanche.
The Avalanche.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. They are.
Bandwagony of you.
Bandwagon. Excuse me.
Because they're one of the best teams left.
They used to suck, and I still liked them.
Yeah, well, I'll never forgive them. So
Such a stupid reason. You have to tell them why you won't forgive them.
my feet still hurt. Okay.
All right, now we need to hear the story. Like what happened?
So I went to college in Chicago, so I would pick up tickets whenever I can to go see the Blackhawks play, right? So the Avs were in town. This was back in the Varlamov days. And all that was left was standing room, but I really wanted to go to the game. So I went, I got standing room only tickets. And there were open seats in the 300 level, but the ushers were like, no, you can't sit there. I'm like, fine, we won't. So I had to stand the whole time, which is just miserable. And Varlamov shut out the Blackhawks, and they won 4-0, and I will never forgive them for that. Because not only did my feet hurt, but I had to see a shitty game.
But Varlamov's gone.
So the stench of him remains with the Avs.
Okay, so where would you go?
Oh god. Nowhere in the Central because screw the Central Division teams. Detroit would be cool because I
Okay.
like the city.
It's a good city, just like Philly.
No. Actually, you can see Canada
You
from
can,
Detroit. You
you
can't
can,
from
And
Philly.
you can boat watch.
You can boat watch on the river. I was thinking one of the warmer teams, but I don't want
Such
to. I
as-
don't want to go to Sunrise,
No.
and I can't do Tampa because they have that big ass bridge out there, and I refuse to live close to it. Arizona's too hot.
Too hot.
California's gonna fall into the ocean.
There's so many factors involved.
You know, I have to think of everything. Not Pennsylvania because they have tunnels through their mountains. It's terrifying. Not Long Island because there's
'Cause
so many
fuck
bridges
that.
out there. And they really like sandwiches, and I just
So
don't
many
think I can like
sandwiches.
sandwiches that much. Not the Rangers because I could never afford to go to games at MSG. And it's very expensive to live in New York City.
Yes.
Fuck Buffalo. So New York's out. California's out. Florida's
I
out.
just love that someone just F Buffalo in the middle of the entire. Oh my god, that was just. It's just like, you know what? Just F these guys. Yeah,
The justifications are great. I don't want to go there. They like sandwiches too much. What's their
You don't
problem?
understand.
God.
Everything
There's too many bridges. There's too many
everything is-
bridges.
One of my biggest fears is bridges, so that's just a no-go.
Fair enough. I mean, fair enough.
She's thinking practically here.
Seattle could be
It
intriguing.
could. I just didn't want to be the bandwagon.
You know.
Oh, you mean like, oh,
chose the good team.
I've been a Kraken fan my entire life.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been a Kraken fan since they started to be a team.
Mhm.
That's
Said
how-
every Vegas Golden Knights fan when they first came around.
Yeah. I can't do Vegas.
Can't do Vegas.
Fuck Vancouver. I will never like them. I still can't get over that rivalry, even though BC is beautiful. Edmonton isn't happening because I feel like I would just start to suck as a person because it would wear off from the team. Like, everything around Edmonton has to suck.
Bad.
Montreal, no, because I can't forgive them yet.
So who are we left with?
I don't know. There's
Calgary.
Carolina.
Carolina.
No,
Carolina,
not Calgary.
Calgary, Nashville.
No,
Oh,
they're in
fuck
the Central.
Nashville.
No Central.
they're
Oh,
in the
that's right.
Calgary,
Calgary, Carolina.
let's
I
see.
know one team that hasn't been eliminated yet.
That face. I just can't.
Columbus.
That's the one.
That's an intriguing option too. I like Columbus.
Columbus is a wonderful city.
You still got Washington. You got Washington too. Washington's still there.
I don't want to live in Washington D.C. There's Boston, but I don't want to be a Bruins fan.
Nobody wants to be a Bruins fan.
And I didn't even know where Massachusetts was for the longest
You
time. so- You know what? They don't teach you geography in U.S. schools.
I mean,
Um,
kind of.
So, Detroit, Columbus, or Carolina?
Okay.
Mm,
Narrow it down to two.
I don't know.
3.
I don't know that I
Two.
could do mainland Michigan, so Detroit's out.
Okay, Detroit's out.
Yeah, mainland Michigan is
I
not
don't
fun.
know that I want to live in Ohio.
Oh,
So I
cool.
feel like Ohio
Hey.
is separate
Hey.
from Columbus. Columbus
Yeah,
and
Columbus
Ohio
is
are
great.
completely different things.
Yes,
I'm from,
that is such an Ohio thing to say.
Fuck Cincinnati.
I am from Northeast Ohio, and I take that offensively.
You should.
That's fine.
Do you like
I don't care.
Skyline?
No,
Do you
it's
like
all right. I
Skyline?
don't.
No?
Hey, I live in South Carolina now, so I mean, I get it.
Yeah, do you like their chili? Skyline chili?
Skyline chili.
I fucking love it.
It's
Ew!
Excuse me?
disgusting.
Excuse me? No, heck no.
They put cinnamon in it. Why
Who
does it
likes
taste like
Skyline
cinnamon?
chili is trash.
It's
Well,
like
that's not something I can eat. I would eat every day. Chipotle, I could eat every day.
Yeah.
But
Cincinnati's technically Kentucky. Let's be honest. There are airports in Kentucky. Cincinnati's in Kentucky. So
I don't
recognize
count
that city.
Cincinnati as part of Ohio.
Oh, Columbus got rid of poutine in their arena, so
They
fuck
did.
Columbus.
Woo,
Carolina.
is.
Carolina Hurricanes.
There we go. It works out.
It's where all the Blackhawks players go anyway. It's basically like rooting for them.
All right, Alex.
Yeah,
you're up.
it's the Carolina Blackhawks. I mean, what? Hello. How do you think I like both teams? Well,
I want
we
Alex
lived in North Carolina for like 6 years, and we were there when the Hurricanes moved down. So I mean, it kind of just worked out. So
There you go.
So
hey, and plus when you see a Stanley Cup in person for Game 7 when they win it, you know,
Cam Ward.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Zach Zach,
Yeah.
you're absolutely gonna love my answer.
oh god.
Yeah.
Actually,
What a
everybody
wonderful-
is absolutely gonna love my answer.
That means
Now-
we're gonna hate it. Okay.
Yes.
Before I say anything, I'm
It's
going to
so
preface
wrong.
this with it has like 10% to do with the actual team, and the other 90% is because I'm in love with the state. That's
It's the Wild.
Minnesota? No.
It's not. Wow, I'm shocked.
I was gonna say,
Nashville, brother. I love Tennessee.
Tennessee is a good state.
Dude,
Oh.
literally. All right. Here's my
Oh.
reasoning. I'm going to retire in Tennessee.
But
no
you
questions
trash
asked.
that team so much. You hate that team, though. You trash.
I
them
absolutely
so much.
do. I absolutely do.
Not
But if Columbus
anymore.
didn't exist, all right, I look at it from a different standpoint of, which team? Okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
where would I want to live with my family? Where do I want to take my kids?
Uh-huh.
Where do I want to sit there and be like, hey, well, when my kids are 20 or 25, where can we go as a younger parent
Uh-huh.
and still have a ton of fun
Right.
and have a team that has arguably a very good fan base? As much as we hate them, it's a good fan base.
They're
Tennessee.
loud.
They are loud.
But I would not live in
Yeah.
Nashville. I would not live in Nashville.
That doesn't count then.
No.
You have to live in the city. You have to live in the city of that.
Okay,
team.
well then fine. I'm still an hour away from Knoxville, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah, yeah. But you have to live in the city of that team. I mean, it is what
That's
it is.
fine. My address where I live technically is in Columbus, but it's not in Columbus. So I'll find something like that. Not a big deal.
Oh
Garbage.
my!
Because I pay Columbus taxes, but where I'm at is completely different. Like it's stupid.
Well,
The
that's
city
not
on my
bad thinking
address,
on your part.
like the city on my address is one thing. I pay Columbus taxes, and then we have a completely different school district.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
That just sounds about like every other state and every other county.
But it would be Nashville, and if not, it would be Dallas.
Dallas.
But Nashville would be my number one choice just because I love Tennessee.
Texas.
Hey, Dallas is Dallas Fort Worth is pretty.
The entire Southeast is completely eliminated for me, minus Tennessee, because I hate humidity. I was born in South Carolina, so Florida, out of the question. As much as I like the Hurricanes, out of the question.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. So those three teams are just gone. Fuck them.
Yeah.
No.
I would
So
have
basically,
preferred
for me that I can't choose either one. I can't choose Carolina then, since they're my second team. Because okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I did
No
do that to
Chicago,
Courtney.
no Carolina, since you have the flags hanging up. Your problem.
Yeah, and I could have did that to Courtney and be fair to her if I did that.
Mhm.
So let me see. See, this is where I buy myself my own questions. If I had to pick a third team, had to move to the city where the team is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a tough decision.
Well, you made us do it.
Oh, I know. No, I know. No, I already know my answer to this question because it would put me back in my home state near my family. It's the Jackets because the rest of my family's up in Ohio. I really like Columbus. I've been there a bunch of times for work and stuff like that. It was just the Columbus Crew's there, big soccer fan, and I've been following the Jackets for a while just because it's the home state team. Plus doing this with Dallas, it's just. It just makes sense. It put me back in Ohio close to family. So, because it's only like 2.5 hours back up to Akron from Columbus, something like that. It's about 2 hours.
Probably like the light side at 2, probably hour 45, maybe 2.
Yeah. So it's not really our decision. It'd be Columbus. I mean, there's no other place I'd rather. If I had to go back, it'd be there for sure.
Speaking of Zach, real quick side note:
Yes.
4 weeks for the Crew, new stadium. It's gonna be fucking sweet.
Finally.
So if you two probably don't know, the Columbus Crew, our soccer team here in Columbus, are building a brand new stadium,
Well, that's exciting.
and it's right down the road from the Blue Jackets arena. So it's Nationwide Arena.
Mhm.
And then on the other side of, I don't remember what street it is the Columbus Clippers. So the minor league affiliate for the Indians, right, Zach?
Yeah, it's their AAA
Yeah.
team. I think it's like Neil and something else. It's like I forget what it is. It's like Neil and something Street, whatever. That
But
is.
yeah, it's like essentially it's going to be Nationwide Arena, Huntington Park. So for the Clippers, and then the new Crew Stadium. like all in the same. It's all going to be in the arena district. It's going to be
Well, that's
sweet.
super cool.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
actually going to
they
be
have a-
really big for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, like
And everybody.
they're gonna have like a stupid huge standing section for fans. They're gonna have like a bar area outside the stadium too, like for like movies and concerts and stuff like this. It's a whole thing.
That's
But
awesome.
all right,
It's going to be.
yeah. So, question number 3.
3.
Last one. I know you do 3 questions, and like we're going about 2.5 hours. So, if you had to pick one player from any NHL team to join your team, but here's the caveat though.
Oh, jeez.
You have to give up your favorite player on that team currently to get them. Who's that player, and who's the favorite player you're getting rid of?
So we have to get rid of a Blackhawk to acquire somebody?
Yes, you have to. If you want, there's this guy on this team that you really want to have, but you gotta give up that Blackhawk to get him. Who's the player, and who's the Blackhawk?
Shit.
And it has to be your favorite Blackhawk.
Right.
Who's my favorite Blackhawk?
Yeah, you can't you can't give like a Malcolm Subban for a Mitch Marner. That's just
Oh, dude, piece of cake. Piece of cake for me.
They're about worth the same thing these days.
oof. You said it, not me.
I don't know who my favorite Blackhawk is.
Mine's
That's
between
the first thing I gotta figure out.
Kevin and Bagel.
Okay.
Those are my top 2. I don't know which player is in which position, but shit.
Mm.
Okay, so goalie or God, I
Wait, you have
really
to give
love-
up the same position?
No, doesn't
Or just
doesn't have to be the same position. I'm not gonna make it that hard. I made it hard, but I'm not gonna be that ridiculous.
You can't get rid of a goalie and not get a goalie back though. Like you still
Sure you
need
could.
you still need a goalie.
Free agency. We have 3. What are you
Wait.
talking about?
I'm talking about Dire Straits. Okay, so
But remember, this is a favorite Blackhawk, though. It's not just someone you can just get rid of.
right, no favorite Blackhawk. I think.
So if you're talking goalies, if your guy's Lankinen, you gotta get rid of Lanks and go get someone else.
Oh man, I've been a
So-
Malcolm Subban fan my whole life. He's my favorite player and all that stuff. It's bye. See ya.
no,
Well, I'm trying to give the benefit of the trust that
would I
you're
have
we're not loopholing
any other
this.
player in the league?
Any other player?
Any other player? Fuck.
Gosh, I love these questions. makes you think.
Can you imagine Kane playing on a line with Austin Matthews?
No.
No.
Yet.
Mm-hmm.
No, because they play the same spot on the power play.
Things could switch up.
I've been asking for them to for a very long time.
I know. That's why I was there.
Oh,
Ooh.
man.
Ooh.
Okay, I have my favorite non-hawk. Now I have to figure out who my favorite non-hawk is.
Hawk is.
Even though it really doesn't fill a position of need, but that's all right.
It's fine.
That's
Free
not
agency.
the rule here.
Nope, that doesn't be a position of need. It's whoever you want.
Oh,
If
this
you gotta
is-
give up that Hawk.
I think this would be a very lopsided trade in Chicago's favor. But
Hey, I didn't say it. This is all hypothetical. We don't really have to be logical here.
all right.
Logicality is out the window at this point. It's just, who would you like? That on the team. Now, if we were doing this is logical trades. We would be here for another like 3 hours.
Yeah, that would be really difficult.
Yeah,
Especially because logical trades rarely happen in the NHL.
true.
So we'd have
Especially
to figure out-
especially with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, thanks again for Panarin for the 2 years.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Hope
Welcome
you enjoyed
to
Brandon
Anton
Saad.
Forsberg. Really appreciate it.
Forsberg. Oh my god.
Really loved him.
Yeah.
Uh,
And Marco
Wow.
Dano. Thanks.
Yeah, he's a real all-star. Tell you what.
Yeah.
Oof.
Is he still with Winnipeg? I don't know.
No, I don't actually. I think he retired.
Did he?
I thought he was with Montreal at one point.
Dano?
I thought he was. I don't know. Either way, oof.
Marco Dano? No, he went to Winnipeg and then he was
Oh, that's right.
playing with the Meese.
Let me do a moose roll.
All right, Alex, as they're trying to figure out who is yours.
Yeah. So real quick, Marco Dano, he did retire because he or am I thinking of never mind, I'm thinking of somebody else. Dude,
I
that's
will look it up. while you guys are- I
right,
already
so-
have my answer.
so this is not logical at all, right?
Okay.
Piece
I
of
did
cake.
say had to be.
Piece of cake. Cam Atkinson for Carey Price, but Carey Price from like 10 years ago.
No, has to be now. Has to be now.
I'll still take him.
Ah,
Okay.
Still take him.
overrated.
nice contract.
Yeah. Like this.
Okay,
yeah, this
fine.
Is, this is
Then
this
Cam
is an
Atkinson
announcement.
for Nathan McKinnon.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You can't change your answer.
Was that?
I
your
never
answer?
said final
No.
answer.
All right, we're getting a little sassy here.
It's what I do
Alex.
best.
Cam Atkinson for Malcolm Subban. There you go. Problem
That's
solved.
your third answer now. Cam's going to Montreal. He's joining Josh Anderson up there.
Yeah, the Montreal Blue Jackets.
Dude,
Why not?
Bad
I'm still
trade.
I'm still even they both got like the same amount of points throughout the season, which is ridiculous. But
Marco Dano
I still would
played
rather.
13 games for the Manitoba Moose this season.
This season?
He had 1 goal
Wow.
and 2 assists.
Who the f am I thinking about? There was a guy he had like a rare blood disease and he had to retire.
Oh,
The
I know
dude
him.
that he went and played for the Jets. Was it last year?
I can
Hold
tell
on.
you.
Just keep doing your thing. I'm gonna figure this
Come
out.
from Columbus?
Yes.
All right, ladies, have you figured out who this trade off is, or
Do you know yours?
I forgot about Nate Mac, but it's too late. He took him.
Yep.
Okay.
No, he didn't. He took Carey Price.
Well, then I'm taking Nate Mac for Bagel.
Nate Mac for Bagel.
It's
Wow.
not fair. I love Bagel.
I want to have Nathan McKinnon with Kane.
Our
my
answers
word.
are so similar.
What is it?
Bagel
Okay.
for Mikko Rantanen.
Ah, you love you some Miko.
I do. I do love Mikko.
Miko's been on one. He has been. I saw a stat earlier today. I forget what it was now, but the dude is just on a stupid run
Yes.
of doing whatever it is. It's just like the kid is unreal.
I liked
Like-
him before he was drafted, and then I told our friend who's a Colorado fan when they drafted him, I was like, "Oh, you got a good
Ooh,
player,
He's the one.
Ah,
a good one." And
I was thinking of Mark Letestu.
that's
Ah,
a
you
name I
were-
haven't thought about in forever.
Yeah. Jeez. No, I mean, get Rantanen or McKinnon.
For
Maybe
Brandon
it's
Hagel.
For that's just so great. Like you think people would be like, "Oh, Patrick Kane's my favorite player," or Jonathan Taves. Like, nope, Brandon Hagel, and sucks to see him go, but that return would be nice.
It was Crawford, but he left,
Yeah, he's
so
gone.
I had to find
Yeah.
a different favorite player. And Bagel's the one I talked about the most this year, so that's the one.
Yeah, for me, because I would like if we're talking like 2 or 3 years ago, I'd tell you it's like Jonathan Taves or Patrick Kane, but I really started liking Lincoln this year because you've probably seen my Twitter.
Players between Kevin and Bagel.
Yeah, so you've ladies see my Twitter. I always talk about Kevin Lincoln and Alex. You've heard me rant about him all the time on the podcast. I would hate to see him go, but man, to get Matt Barzal on the Hawks,
I don't need a
that-
playoff choker on this team.
Ooh.
but it's the fact of the system he plays in. But you look at how productive he is on goal. You put a guy who scores the way he does in that system on a more offensive team with Doc or Kane or
Him playing
whoever.
with Kane would be good because Barzal's a center, right?
Yeah, so I'm not saying like you put Barzal with a line like Kane and DeBrincat or whoever, like that would be a lethal scoring line.
Like the line.
So
I feel like
Like-
you'd have to put like a grindy guy on their line because those two would just want the puck. So they'd have to get somebody to get it to him. So that would be a
Yeah.
great line to add Zach Hyman to.
Oh yeah.
I was really surprised you didn't go for Hyman because I could see that, but having Hyman because we talked about it on Twitter, like getting Zach Hyman on the Hawks in free agency. Yes,
That would
please.
be so legit.
Great.
how fast would it be before a Hyman jersey hits the cart and it's automatically purchased?
Probably game
Like-
one.
I'm just not saying like it gets announced. Are we talking like 10 seconds? Are we talking like 3 days from then? Like how fast are we talking? Like the Hyman jerseys hitting the cart, and
Be
it's
very
just
quickly. Because
Yeah.
he's another player just like Hagel who just does the right things.
Yes.
yeah. If the Blackhawks, please, for the love of anything in this world, get some free agents that can play instead of like a Manning or anyone else who we signed for whatever reason. It's just like, why do we get this guy?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward.
Chris Kunitz.
Oh.
Cam Ward.
That was such a
I-
very weird summer.
Chris Kunitz, I still don't understand that pickup at all. And I love Cam Ward because he was a Kane, but that just was flying. That Brandon Manning situation was just
Yeah, but we got Trey
Why?
Kajula for him.
We did.
yeah.
Good for
So, yeah. But, Jacqueline, Courtney, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We're going about like 2 hours and
Of
40
course.
minutes. It's been,
Thank
it's
you for
a-
having us on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's talked to you ladies for a long time on Twitter. Talking a lot of hockey. It's great to have you on. It's been a long time coming. It worked out. So we thank you so much. So before I let you go, where can people find you on Twitter, your podcast? Push any websites, for articles or whatever you ladies have. Just let people know where they can find you.
Well, for a website, you can go to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all of the places there, so that's kind of easy. Or Twitter, it's at VF Center Ice. VF Center Ice Pod. On Instagram, it's at From Center Ice Pod, and then we're on Facebook. But hardly anybody looks at Facebook these days. Or on YouTube, it's just From Center Ice. Oh, it's
We finally got that.
YouTube.com/C/From Center Ice. Since we
Nice.
can have
Yeah.
our fancy custom URL
And
now.
you can listen
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And you two have 520 subscribers now.
Yay!
Hey, there you go. Yeah, Facebook is just the
Beauty
algorithm.
of
is
having like
absolutely-
5 YouTube accounts.
Oh my gosh! But no, Facebook is literally like the algorithm is completely just absolutely destroyed pages. Like,
Yes. We
It's all
basically
groups
have
now.
one just so it's there, so I can share things to groups that we're in.
even sharing the groups is tough now too, because you used to click on all the ones you want to send it to, and now it's like you got to do it one at a time.
I
It's
have
like,
to do it one at a time.
One by one.
So annoying.
yeah,
But that's good for you. They make everything good.
definitely for sure. So, Alex, where can people find us on the socials?
You
Let
can
them
find us on Twitter.
Oh yeah, where at?
Yeah.
Where on Twitter?
Yeah, we're on Twitter at Cannon Hawks Pod, also on Instagram and the YouTube and the Facebook, all the same thing. You can also check out our link tree.
I forgot we still have an Instagram.
Yeah, me too, most days.
It's just like Facebook. The algorithm is absolute trash.
Yeah, for sure.
We use Twitter, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, if you guys go into our bio on Twitter, we have a link tree. It has links to everything else, all of our other socials, as well as our sponsors, Pure Hockey and Spy Optic. You can also check out all of our other stuff, all the other people at Belly Up Sports as well. Zach, why don't you remind the glorious people what we are about here at Cannon Hawks?
Well, I think we're all about the beer. We're all about the food, because you can't watch hockey without having food or beer. And well, we're also all about hockey because hockey's the best. So there you go.
That'll work.
Fantastic job.
Great
Until next time,
outro.
guys. Thanks, I tried.
Yeah. It's almost
we'll
like
see
we're
you
just
next
going to
time.
have this outro and stop it in the middle.
Thank you for listening to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. Beer, food, and hockey.